Okay.
Help.
We'll see how this goes. There I am. Oh,
No,
I'm
gosh.
sorry.
If you come back more and in. Oh,
Let's
you're...
get in a little.
It's true.
Anyway.
I'm not going anywhere. There we go.
Hi there.
Ah, who are you?
I'm Dustin.
I'm alright.
Not 100% sure how the audio is going to work on the stream. It'll probably hopefully be okay.
It'll be a butt. It'll be a butt. Butt.
But anyway.
First, the fashion. It needs to be shown. I am looking mighty gorgeous right now. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. What are we doing today, Dustin?
Ryan's playing some Destiny. We're going to record a podcast while we're doing this, I suppose. We're waiting for people to be around.
So you can... Oh. We're just chilling for now. I'm going to be doing some inconsequential strikes. Oh, and yawn, by the way. Delightful. Excuse me. And then I'm going to talk about TWAB. Beyond Light
Guess I'm gonna open
is ever closer. Maybe. Potentially. We don't know. Where are we going?
Oh, this is going to be a nightmare for a second. Hold
Mercury.
on.
I don't want to. Well. 2 more weeks till Mercury's gone.
Trying to reach this laptop is problematic.
So am I. I too am problematic, is what I was getting at. Good night. Really thinking about this. My gosh. There we go.
The Red Legion continues to patrol this
Let me-
area, and its
There we go.
campaign for the Infinite Forest rages on. Repeated incursions have caused a glitch, and the Legionary squad is now trapped in time.
I never get tired of paying them back for the tower.
Okay.
We're on it.
Wahoo! Yeehaw! Well, hey. I'm over here with Fun Shot. Fun Shot home.
Anyway. So we're here. You have an okay day, Ryan? Kind of
Yeah.
earlier.
This was my Monday, work-wise. It's a nice opposite of last week where I worked a lot of nights. This week I'm working most of the days. Which owns.
Try to keep down a lot.
Coward. Got him. I'm the greatest.
You're doing it.
Just over here heckin' striking.
Data I'm reading from this architecture, it's subtly shifting, like reality trying to decide on a version it likes.
In the forest, time itself is in flux.
I don't like it.
Osiris says he's the protector of the forest. But as far as the bad guy is concerned, this is your
Woof.
territory. Good hunting.
Did get him. Cool. Put him?
Hey there.
Well, hey.
Silence of the Wade.
Ah. So majestic.
What? Hear me roar.
Right.
This is my roar. Roar.
Good roar. Quality roar. I loved it. 10 out of 10. Would roar again.
Oh man, I really fucked up. You're live on the internet, by the way. Not that there's... I'm not sure Brian might be here. I don't think anyone else is around.
Who can say?
I should have brought that up. I was stupid.
Good job.
How's it going?
You're live with Sunshot. Welcome to Sunshot.
Welcome to Sunshine.
Can you hear
I
us? Okay.
restarted Arkham Asylum
Okay.
because it's been 7 years since I played it or
Yeah,
whatever.
I don't think I've played that game since it came out.
So far, it is holding up really well, especially in the face of like, A, Arkham City was just an upgrade in every possible way, and B, Spider-Man is the same formula, but significantly newer than any of them, and it tried to update the combat and general traversal in a way to make the world fun. And despite all of that, like, Arkham Asylum still feels real fucking good.
That's cool. Because was that the first one of those games?
Yeah, the Asylum was.
Yeah, Asylum was the first one.
And it like kind of set the trend for like, there was a lot of games that are Arkham-like.
A lot of games felt like that,
Yeah, around that era or whatever.
Like they kind of cribbed that combat system and stuff, like Spider-Man, like fucking what's the other name? Shadow of Mordor was a lot like that, I think.
Yeah.
I'm not helping with the strike at all.
Yeah, I would think I'd be if you do end up playing. What's the second one? City.
City.
Yeah.
I think.
I definitely will replay.
Yeah,
City
if you do end up
after
playing City, I'd be curious to what you think. Because if anything, like the things that made that game more impressive at the time, I would think there's like a small chance that that might make it feel a little less timeless than the other one, just because it is more open worldy. But I'd have to play it to know for sure.
Right, playing Arkham City, and then sequentially down the timeline, playing through Breath of the Wild and then Spider-Man. Like it's easy to see how an open world game could be done better than how a City did it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the other one is so much more tight and deterministic that I would think the level design probably there's at least a chance that it
Arkham
holds up
Asylum
better.
is a very curated linear experience by comparison. I was just telling Phil about it because it feels like Asylum and City are two wildly different games despite being the same engine.
Where am I? How do I
That's
get
cool though.
anywhere?
Yeah,
Why are
maybe
the
I'll have
two
to go back and play that at some point. I gotta play something in the next 2 weeks. I was actually, if there was a cheap way to do it, I was gonna maybe check out Borderlands 3 just on a lark. I'm just curious what this game is like. But there was no way for me to reasonably attain it for $20 or less, which was absolutely my price threshold on how much I was willing to pay for Borderlands 3.
You were not wrong, and I am in the exact same boat, and I just won't do it.
Yeah, so I bet on Black Friday that game will be $20 or less, and maybe I'll give it a whirl at some point, just out of morbid curiosity.
Well, listen, if you want something in the next week and a half here, and we decide we want to commit to this, I am willing to go to the Steam page for Phasmophobia right now.
So my thing there is we should figure out, because is it 4 players? Is that how many people you can play with?
It is 4-player.
Okay,
we can. I don't think you have to have 4-player, but I absolutely think that 4 players would enhance the experience.
Right, it would be. I also think it would be better if you max out that party than not.
That's spooky game, isn't it?
Yeah.
No. I'll be a passive observer. I don't want to play spooky game.
I don't. It's definitely spooky. I shouldn't try to undersell that, but it feels like the game is more designed to be Ghostbusters style. It's not spooky in that there's nothing that you can do about spookums.
Spookums.
It's deliberately you're supposed to be a professional who deals with spookums, and spookums are just part of your daily routine, you know?
But I'm not a professional, and I don't deal with spookums.
Why not?
Spooky, scary.
Boys becoming men. Men becoming
Which
wolves.
structure?
Hi,
Which
Phil.
Greenfield Village structure is the most haunted, Lorraine?
Oh God, man, I don't know. I would like to think fucking Edison's Workshop, probably. I feel like some.
Okay, I was gonna say
Horrible
that
thing
one
I've
house
heard.
with the slave quarters on it.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that, but that sounds like a good answer.
But
Yeah. There is just a legit slave quarters building. Maddox House, I believe, is what it's called.
So Dustin, between everyone else in our group, who do you think is the best couple add-ons to Spookums, the 4-player game
I
experience.
mean, anyone we
Not
can get,
Lorraine.
anyone who's interested. Apparently not Lorraine, because she doesn't want to do
I'll be the guy in the chair.
it.
I'll be I'll be Ghostbusters. What do you want? No more.
The receptionist.
You told me you'd hire more workers.
I'm doing all the paperwork.
How's it going, Phil?
Not bad. Work today was a little frustrating, but otherwise.
Well, hey.
That's good.
Oh, hey, I
mean,
caught up with these dinguses. after
otherwise
doing
good, I
nothing
guess.
This entire strike. Grand.
Yeah. I got like a half promotion today that will activate Monday. That will pay better, but also be more work. And
Mhm.
it's a stepping stone position to senior underwriter, which would be harder and pay a lot better. So
Okay.
Senior over underwriter.
I don't know if I want to be stuck doing that for super long, but
Yeah.
because that's definitely not my long-term plan.
Mhm.
But
Mm-hmm.
on the other hand, I could just keep saving up money until I just can't
Right.
stand it anymore.
I want to help you, bud. I'm coming.
That's
There
the
we
American dream
Oh,
for you
gosh,
right
too much
there.
jumping.
That is 100% the American dream. Save up money until it kills you. Hi,
Money's
Kyle.
for suckers. Hi, Kyle.
Employment in modern America is like seeing how long you can hold your breath in like the deep end of the pool. It's gonna-
I can totally see that.
Look at the lungs on that one. Management material.
That's right.
That boy's got some management
millionaires.
lungs.
Millionaires throw quarters at you while you're underwater.
Exactly.
The longer you hold your breath, the more quarters they
Mhm.
throw at you.
There you go.
So is a workaholic just someone who like gets off to passing out underwater?
Yes.
Yeah.
Suffocation king.
It's like it's like there you go. That's an even better analogy. It's like diving into the world's deepest like coin fountain. It's just all right. You got to get in there. Whatever you can scrape up is yours. But
Yeah.
it's all about that lung capacity and your tolerance for being pelted with tiny metal.
Speaking of dreams and nightmares, how do you feel about participating in 4-player spooky game co-op extravaganza for
I almost
a
did.
Halloween stream of some kind?
I'll do anything with anyone.
That's a good answer.
I'm assuming that game's only on Steam right now.
Probably.
Okay.
It is early access, so that would make sense, but
Yeah.
let me check.
If you're talking about like legit Halloween, I will be unavailable that night. So
Not necessarily Halloween proper. I
Right.
have no care of scheduling.
Specifics,
so-
yeah.
Do want to do some fall things. I was just looking at
Oh yeah.
Cider Mill to see if they had like curbside pickup for donuts or something.
Mm-hmm.
They don't.
boo.
Yeah.
They just have long lines.
Get in
Uh-huh.
there.
Yeah, it's just Steam.
Enter the throng.
Yeah,
Yates is on Steam. That's cool.
you want some donuts, don't you?
Wouldn't download a donut, would you?
I would.
Brian, how's it
I
going?
would download a fucking donut right now.
Oh, did he not join? I thought he did.
I was gonna say I don't see
I
Brian.
didn't hear anything. You're thinking of me. I'm here now.
Who?
Me.
Oh.
Me.
Ah!
Me.
Bang.
How's it going?
We're all great, right?
Well,
Everything's perfect and normal.
sure.
Sure. Normal.
Totally.
Our highest priority is to talk about video game numbers.
Something like that.
Big
In that case,
I
I
mean,
should-
I am excited to talk about video games.
Let's see.
Right, it takes my mind off of the doom scrolling that I'm actively doing literally this second.
Don't.
The beta on tonight.
Seemed like Brian was
I
gonna
forgot
join
about
us.
Yeah, he made it sound like he
Didn't.
was gonna. Oh, who's?
I'll wait for a
oh,
little bit.
it's
I'll
Other
give him
Brian in
some
the
time.
chat.
Sure.
The
Oh.
Brian. Watching us live. We're not recording our podcast yet. It'll be soon.
Yeah, Lorraine's playing. We're on Twitch right now. Lorraine's just
Doing
fucking
strikes.
Doing
around.
proxy dungeons.
No.
Lorraine, I would
That's right.
join you for strikes while we're talking.
Sure.
Yeah, if you want to, right? If you want to
Just
join
run
her,
it
just
out there.
Let me just
party up.
trying to get out of this. There we go. I'm in space, Phil.
I could be
Yeah, I'm
there
excited too.
in
I'm
one
gonna
minute.
hold back until we actually start recording.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh
let's
my
just
God.
not say even a
What's
word about
Destiny?
it. until
I
we're
have
in there.
no idea.
5
I
strikes.
want to. I'll
Order.
be more excited to play Destiny after that patch than I currently am. So
I mean, what shader is that on your vampire shirt?
So this is I think it's the Gambit shader from it's from last season, Raw Idol Craze.
I like it. I like
It's-
it a lot.
So I'm gonna put on the pants that I had on a second ago. Dustin told me to change them, or he
oh, the
he
all
said
gold one.
they were
I just
great.
thought like
But like, look at this. Look how stupid.
it's
this is.
definitely stupider.
It's so dumb.
Ooh.
With like kicks.
I don't know. I want to see the full zoom out. I want to see the whole package.
It's
There
really
you go.
good.
Put those on.
It's really good. It's like a onesie.
I see where Dustin's coming from. I say that.
I'm gonna put the gold boots back
Oh.
on because gold boots are still good.
Well, Lorraine, your fire team is invite only.
Oh, poop! I put that
That's
on
right.
last
'Cause
night.
you were doing other stuff.
Lorraine, I can hear those pants.
I know, isn't it? It's great.
Anyway, other Brian.
Oh, if I
Brian,
just do
Brian
friends
who's kinda
only, the
hanging out with-
Chancellor can
hanging out
never
with us in
join
the
me.
Twitch
That's
chat.
great.
Enjoy your Godspeed with packing boxes.
You should be able to join me now, Phil. I think it's friends only.
I'm a friend.
It's true.
Confirmed. I am Lorraine's friend.
Great.
Well, thank goodness.
Whew.
Dustin, I almost wore that shirt today too.
Nice. I don't know why. Like I was in my like laundry sifting through, and this is just the one I picked out today. I was like, hey.
Right, it is often my I don't know what else to wear, but a t-shirt sounds nice.
Get your twist
Outfit.
on.
Ugh, I want a Quisp shirt. I need one.
I mean, Phil can hook you up.
It's true.
That's right. It wasn't cheap.
I'm
That
sad.
would have been a wise purchase.
I don't
Think
know,
Quaker Oats
man.
Or whoever would be happy to make a quick buck selling you an advertisement that you wear for them.
Hit up Quisp.
No demand.
Give me that Quisp
No,
merch.
that's true.
Oh, we're gonna be killing so many hive.
Good. I hope so.
We going
Lorraine,
to
do you know
Mars.
what the element is?
It's void.
Okay. Well, good. That's what I am. I is that.
Sames. I'm gonna slova some
Kyle, do we have
boys. I don't know.
old Z cards that you want to try to sell? Because somebody messaged me and was like, whatever you have, I want it. And I told them we don't have much, but that I would check.
Like, is he open to like everything common?
All right, yeah, well, define
no
define
idea.
whatever.
State and Saga foils. I would love to just bulk get rid of everything.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Strange terrain.
I
Let's
don't really
go.
know.
And I'm not opposed to literally getting rid of all of it. I don't think I'm
Making
gonna
some-
keep anything that isn't already sectioned off in a place where I wouldn't just mix it in.
Right, yeah. I don't really know.
Somebody sent me a message today that I haven't read. It's about something about Orange Roshi OVH Dragon Ball.
Okay. That's alright.
I was wondering when the person you said that if it was the same guy. If it was reading. Doesn't look right.
Well, who sent you a message?
Let's see. David Lindner.
No. No, it isn't. This person's name is Mark Smith.
Yeah.
I think his name
Oh,
is
of the
Mark
Boston
Smith. And
Smiths?
He literally
Oh,
was like,
shit.
have you won a tournament before? I recognize you.
I know this name.
So anyway, want to sell me stuff? Yeah, that was pretty much the conversation.
Opens his trench coat, shows you a penis full of dollar bills.
That's a lot of bills in that there, dog.
5.
Wrapped up tight.
Locked and loaded. Are you also using Sunshot, Phil?
Of course.
Good.
I joined you.
The only 150 in the game.
Oh
Right.
gosh.
Well, let's not talk about it
Look out.
yet. Not until we're live.
With Brian. Where Brian?
I'll
Where
message
bra
him in a second.
guy?
Here, I'll message
Did
Brian.
told me might be
And-
late. So.
It's
Yeah.
Knight's life.
He hasn't seen any of those other messages.
Yeah, he might just do it.
I'll give him till like 8:30ish, and then we'll just start one way or another because that was like my
Yeah.
time frame that I laid out earlier anyway.
Yeah, that works.
Oh, they disappeared.
All right, I need I'm gonna be AFK like from Destiny for a minute, but not from the chat. I
Gasp.
just need my hands for other things.
Dollar bills.
Cards. Oh no, our blueberry's joining.
Oh,
Alright,
god
yeah.
damn it.
Ryan, you get that Mars while you can.
I'm doing it.
Right.
I got like too much Mars earlier though.
I really like this strike, so
Yeah, I like Nokris. This is a fun strike.
good strike.
And
Good
I
strike. Good
like
block.
Zol too. Zol's
So do
a
I.
Mars
Those
is
two of my
good
favorite
strike.
strikes.
Mars was a good expansion.
Yeah, it really was.
Especially compared to Mercury.
Wow.
First strike I did was Tree of Probabilities, and I was just like, in 2 weeks this will be gone.
I don't know if there's any Mercury strikes that I like.
There's only two, and they're both bad.
Are there really only two?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Garden World and Tree.
Why does it feel like there's 100 of them?
It seems like you're forced into the Infinite Forest or some stupid thing every week or so.
Got him.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think that's part of it, is the
Both
fact that they
blow
both
the
involve
Boo.
like a dull, uninspired trip through the Infinite Forest. It's just like they mesh together in such a way that like, oh, there might be 6 of these.
Oh,
Got him.
bang.
So many explosions.
Got him.
After inadvertently doing the vast majority of the Sunshot Catalyst on Mars, I can't help but equate Mars with Sunshot.
This is the Sunshot place. I did most of it standing in front of a cave
In front of a cave where things exploded.
Oh, I almost tried to
About
dodge.
10 minutes.
Get out of here.
Lorraine, I'll probably do this until my weeklies are done and then just call it after that.
That's fine. Yeah, I was gonna do the 5 for the masked candy. Just to
Okay,
get that bright dust. I've done 1.
I forgot to even pick those up, so that's fine.
I'm poor.
I just want to make sure that I don't accidentally get too much shit in my postmaster.
That's fair.
I hate this one enemy, apparently. Bang. Bang. God.
Pick up the orb. Oh, that wasn't Sunshot. Hey. Careful your laptop, Dustin.
Thank you. Don't go to laptop. I need you.
I need you.
Laptop. I need you.
What's going on with Dustin?
Not much. I woke up
Tell me about life.
kind of crappy today. I just had a shitty headache this morning.
I had a headache last night and this morning too.
I'm really worried I'm gonna get one
Yeah, that's
tomorrow
that
with
psychic
the
link
temperature.
we always talk about. It's like
Yeah.
I could tell you were feeling shitty, and it rubbed off on me.
Aw. You guys are in sync.
Gone
The
now.
weirdest, the worst.
That's right. Phil and I have the same
superpower ever.
cycle.
I get a headache when my friend gets a headache.
Worst mutant at Xavier School for Gifted Children. I am gonna Nova Bomb these nights again, and it's gonna be great.
Here,
I'm gonna shoot your Nova Bomb and it's not gonna kill anything.
How dare. I did stop a Nova Bomb with a tether in Burnout one time, and then eventually got killed by the Graviolis because there was another person
Yeah,
on
you
the
gotta
zone.
always kind of watch out for them graviola.
Okay, I sent Brian a warning message that we're gonna start at 8:30.
Warning.
I'm gonna go
Warning.
grab my wireless mouse so I don't have to reach over to my laptop over there to keep it from going to sleep. I'll be right back.
Coward.
Alright.
Come out, Nokris, you fool.
And I might just keep it on too.
You necromantic
Help.
fuck.
I won't be able to kill Nokris.
Slug damage. Slug damage.
Salt, salt, salt. You don't mean doing damage to slugs?
Slugs are nasty.
Yes. Might hit one eventually.
Sunshine. Advanced hand cannon calibration complete. Oh, yes.
That's close. Close enough.
You can blame it all on me. Whooms. That's also not my sword. There we go.
Man, I love sunshine.
Why not?
Because it was pluperfect. Rip. Bad
Rip.
warlock is bad. I don't know when to
Yeah.
rift. Oh hey.
I'm overfilled with shit.
Watchow! From downtown.
Wakacha.
Come here, you.
That's in your face.
He hates it.
Good, I hate him.
I love Noctis.
He said mean
Poor
words to
guy.
me in that mission, though.
Did he?
I don't know, probably. I think he's always making fun of you. I'm just sad because the worm god stopped liking him.
Wouldn't you be?
He's the one.
He's sad because his dad didn't love him.
Relatable.
Well, his aunt's loving him now.
Maybe.
Not
His aunt
really.
was using him.
Yeah.
Isn't that better than not being loved at all?
Now no one loves him because he's dead. So
That's what you get for having
I
a
read
throne
a
world.
I read a theory that he fought him in Sabbath Boon's throne world, not his own.
I don't like that theory.
Big dick energy.
Big dingus energy.
Noctis swinging it around all the time.
Why do you think he wears a robe?
Right.
Can't contain it.
Because he's a sissy.
Aw.
Why his dad doesn't love him.
Aw. His dad doesn't love him
Wow,
because he
this-
wears
This
dresses.
is the minorest The Boys spoiler, but
I've
there's
seen it.
the second season.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a character whose superpower is that he can make his dick grow
Yes.
really big.
It's real nasty.
And he
And-
attacks
Oh.
people with it.
Shit.
Man, now I'm even more excited to watch that.
He's a
Yeah.
very, very minor character.
Ah.
He's based off of a real comic book character.
Of course. Not any comic book you'd find at the store.
So, yeah.
What stores?
I
are
mean,
you
I'm
going to?
sure
They take a
Mr.
lot of liberties
Fantastic
with that
can
show,
do
but that
that.
character
He's
is-
just
A coward.
so polite.
I
Mr.
guess.
Fantastic is a coward.
Let's not talk about this anymore.
Get out of here,
But
Nocris.
why?
I think we all know why.
I'm trying to remember his comic book name. It's really funny. Alright, I have to look it up.
Comic character with extended dick. Ever?
Look at those image results.
That's
Hoo
how
boy.
Kyle got on a list. Give me all this cane.
Love Sausage.
Great.
That's his name.
Beautiful. Oh, I got all my hot kills. Hooray.
He does not canonically have a name in the show.
Cowards.
He's too quickly introduced and exited for a name.
A man needs a name. Where am I getting arc kills from? I don't know.
Someplace.
A mystery.
Clearly.
Look at all my kills.
See
Huh.
how these quests are doing.
Quisps.
Oh yeah, almost halfway done with solar kills. Totally done with hive kills.
Yeah, I'm almost done with
things
my
are
solar
going
kills.
Okay.
Need 6 more solar kills. Impossible. No, no,
Cannot
no.
be done.
Impossible.
Alright. It's Polaris Lance time.
Woo. Map is not available. I want to know. Well, we're going to Io, because I mean one of two things. Good stretch.
You guys excited for Fire Emblem 1 to be released.
Oh, Lorraine was telling me that about that earlier today. I hadn't heard about that until she mentioned it. Like, and it's so I forgot to ask you this. This is not remastered in any way. It's just
I
the
don't
NES
believe
game
so.
translated. Like they put English
There's
text.
some
in it.
quality of life stuff.
Okay.
You can save in the middle of a turn, and you can rewind and crap like that.
Huh.
I kind of thought that's what Shadow Dragon was back
Well,
when
yeah,
that was released.
But now it's the original.
Ugh. They really can't just like. Man,
Don't worry, it'll be gone in a few months. You can never buy it again.
Yeah, right. It's still limited time only.
Nintendo's just hell bent on like giving me the Fire Emblems I don't want.
And they've never released any of those Super Nintendo ones.
I thought you were going to say hellbent on shady anti-consumer business practices.
All that too.
Sell that.
Well, can it be both?
Give me both.
Listen, if you saw how many zeros were on the checks coming in for Mario 3 All-Stars, you'd do exactly the same thing.
I am very open about how much of a hypocrite I am.
They
because
learned-
I purchased that product.
That's right. They learned all the lessons
Board of
from
regret
from when amiibos were coveted. It's just like, oh, what if we did that with everything?
Right.
Yeah,
As
pretty
long as
much.
we tell you what time to get in line, it's fine.
I just want Fire Emblem 7 over and over with new maps.
Impossible.
Buy it forever. Pay a
Did you ever play
lifetime
6?
subscription.
If you've never played 6, you should play 6.
Is that the Roy one?
Yeah.
Pretty sure 7 was the one that we had originally got.
Right. 7 was the first American one.
Mm-hmm.
Roy's our boy.
Roy is our boy. Best boy.
But 6 runs on the same engine. Has
Yeah.
a lot of the same mechanics. So if you've never played 6,
Does
you
that-
really like 7.
Is 7 Fire Emblem then on
Yes.
the GBA?
Right.
Okay.
It's got a different name, obviously.
Right. It's got a different name.
Uh,
I'm not
originally.
I'm not as familiar with the
Me neither.
Fire Emblem
and the
numbering.
father of the red blazing sword or something.
Same.
The one with
Fire
Lynn.
Emblem. And the one with Hector.
Hector! I have a great gif of Hector dunking a basketball in that style.
Hey, there's a
on.
Brian.
I'll,
Yeah, I
or
would
is it
like to see that also.
maybe it's just an
please.
image. I don't remember. It's either an image or it's a gif. I can't
Either
remember.
way.
Whatever
Wow.
it is, gimme.
I'll dig it up later.
Brian might be here.
I am
Says
here.
it's here.
Wow.
Hell
Hello.
yeah.
Hello.
I just don't like interrupting people.
How do you feel
Eat a
about Fire Emblem?
butt.
Fire Emblem?
Fire Emblem?
Eh.
Oh.
Fire Emblem's good.
I don't really care about it.
We're gonna have
Here's-
disagreements about how this podcast goes.
This is a Destiny podcast.
Fire Emblem podcast.
Sir, this is a
It's
Denny's.
time, guys.
Kyle's got his. That's right. Kyle's gonna.
Dominus Kyle coming in to usurp the podcast.
I mean,
The
the Wii one was
830
pretty
coup.
bad, and then the 3DS one was a turn for the worse in the series. I agree. And then the mobile game is just hot garbage for morons.
That's true.
Hot takes all around.
Wow. The takes.
Welcome
The
to our
tea-
video.
The tea is scorching.
I've heard
you
that-
give her more.
I've heard that
I get
Nintendo's
Fire Emblem Warriors on the Switch an 8 out of 10.
that Nintendo's mobile
Ew.
business has become even more aggressive than those games all like launched in a lot of
Yeah,
cases.
I still don't know why I'm playing Pocket Camp, but I am.
Because that game's got 2 subscription services now, Lorraine. Is that accurate?
Ooh.
I
I
learned that
think
the
it's
other
just
day.
one.
I mean, you're hooked on a free-to-play mobile game.
Because the
That's
thing
the
that I
advantage
the
for
thing that
rest
I
of
saw
us.
was that it's got a subscription
Involved in
service
there.
where it like
Oh, there's
automates part of the
something
game, where like a
inherently
villager
exploitable
will
about
you know take out your garbage and do your laundry or whatever. And it's got a different subscription service that gives you like 4 loot boxes a month if you
I
pay
think
them
I
ahead of
thought
time.
they were the same. I honestly don't know. I don't
Okay.
pay attention to any of that. I've maybe put like $2 into it ever.
Mhm.
I'm not the clientele they're
Mm-hmm.
looking for with
You're
it.
not the whale they're looking
Oh
for.
god, no. I'm hardly like a minnow.
More like Moby suck my dick.
Damn.
Damn, yeah.
I was figuring she'd
Got
be
him.
more like a lamprey.
All fry.
No, it feeds on the backs of the fucking sharks and whales and shit. Not actually paying nothing.
I'm here for a free ride.
Yeah,
Yep.
most people are just there to eat the scraps off the ground.
That's what I like. Garbage.
Just like the rest of my life.
Can't wait for gotcha games to just be outright illegal.
Yeah.
They're trying their best
Right.
to get there.
It's a work in progress.
Absolutely deserve to be made illegal.
Absolutely. It's really bad.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if you guys watch Jim Sterling talk about shit, but he's like,
Sometimes.
he's basically just like foretold everything that has happened as far as loot boxes are concerned.
Yeah.
Just because the companies that make them are fucking stupid, and they just keep doing the same stupid shit over and over.
Stupid. They're
I have a
geniuses of the
really
highest order.
This guy's
like
really
overall
genius,
Yes.
overall I appreciate Jim Sterling more than I don't, but like at the same time I have a real mixed relationship with his channel because like it's every single video is like everything is shitty in the video game industry is shit, and it's always true. But it's still like tiring, I guess. Like it's like
No, I feel that honestly. Like
Yeah, I get
He
that.
like his opinions are
need to
more
hear
often
that
than
every
right,
day.
100% accurate. But at some point, like I can only stomach so much of how everything is awful at one time, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he does cover that specific topic of like how he talks about how everything is awful constantly. He's very self-aware about it because he knows that it sucks. But he's like, you know, if it wasn't the case that
Right, it's
everything
like-
is shitty, I
It's
wouldn't
like
have to say
if
everything's shitty
labor
all the
practices
time.
in video games were getting better, not saying the staying the same or getting worse, and if monetization was getting better, not staying the same or getting worse. Like I get it.
Hate
Yeah,
brings in
it's-
the clicks.
Well, it's
That's
like
true.
you know he is. I mean, pessimistic, granted, but like he does it for good reason. Like,
I mean, he's being
and,
informative.
like I always
Yeah,
approach
right,
his
it's the-
channel as like if I'm in the mood for it, then I'll watch it. If not, then I won't because I know
Yeah.
what I'm in for.
Because it is important to, like, to some extent, you kind of have to do that. Like, it is important for people to not just let the shit slide for the 30 or 40th time if you can, like, get people to give a shit. But
Are we ever gonna record a podcast?
yeah, we're gonna do that. I was actually watching the levels as people were kind of idly chatting to
That's
check
fair.
the audio and
Just
everything looks
making
mostly
sure.
okay. Yeah, if you're ready,
Yeah,
Lorraine.
Since
I'm
Fire Emblem
just-
1's
I'm-
coming out, how long until Mother 3?
Never.
Oh, they're
Breaking all the
dropping.
barriers that you would have thought of would have got there.
So they're actually dropping Fire Emblem, Fire Emblem 1 on the Switch.
Apparently,
there we
Yeah.
Interesting.
Help, I'm dead.
Lorraine's being dead.
I know.
It's me.
Maybe someday, unless all that shit with the music was always the reason why. In which
there's a
case,
lot of
maybe
other
not.
issues.
Oh, the Twitch DMCA nonsense.
Well, no, with Mother, there was always, like, there were parts of a lot of the
Samples.
tracks in there, right, that were samples that they, like, that was a rumor that never got officially confirmed, is that they just, like, people thought that they wouldn't be able to clear the music in North America without getting a bunch of shit.
Getting like PTSD from these cloning thrall.
Time but forever.
But yeah, let me shift
Help.
my seat over here. Is everybody ready? Ready-ish?
Ready as I'm gonna be.
Okay.
Waiting 6 months for this.
Wait, are you here?
More than that.
Yeah, whatever.
More than
I
a
don't
year.
actually know
even.
when the last sandbox update was.
Last major one was over a year ago.
That is.
Yeah, I think the last, like, really big one, because the auto one wasn't that... Here, let's get into it. Let's wait,
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
Alright.
I gotta reach over
that
here.
dang
All
button.
awkward like. Lorraine, can you push it for me?
I mean, I can
Click
like
this button, flip that switch, turn on that penis.
Wait, what?
Hello, and welcome to the Cubicorn Games podcast.
Please tell me we got that.
no,
No,
I waited.
not quite. She left
The best.
she left the penis out.
Zip.
although,
Growl at least.
although it's back again now that I brought it up. So my name is
Grower.
Dustin Morbido.
Wow.
We are live on the internet and recording this for
Wow.
posterity to talk about Destiny.
We do that a lot.
Yeah.
Lorraine Morbido is here playing Destiny 2 right in front of my
Wow.
eyeballs.
This festering core of the strike sucks. That's That's all.
Philip McGrath is joining her in the festering
Doing
core.
it. We
and
were
on this
Sunshot
podcast.
buddies, but
It's true.
That's
I
true.
deviated.
That's fair. You're doing other Sunshot though. Sunshot 2.
Polaris Lance is also Sunshot.
Fire Boogaloo.
Sunshot-esque.
Sunshot Esquire.
Joining us, additionally, for this recorded thing, Brian Lupfer is here.
Well, and I'm also playing Destiny on PC.
Okay,
Goodness.
right on.
Alright.
Kyle McGrath is here.
I am watching you guys play Destiny.
Great.
Yeah.
And Wade McGrath is here.
I am doing none of those things.
That's valid.
Arguing with more idiots on Reddit.
Right, there you go. I'm arguing about Destiny, so...
Everybody.
The
honestly-
nerdiest thing of all.
Yep. Who's the real loser here?
I mean,
It's them. It's the idiots
It's
on
all
the
of
internet.
us.
there
That's
was never
right.
a case for me.
No shortage of losers in here, that's for
That's right.
sure.
Nobody here but us losers.
Welcome to the loser cast.
Except for anyone cool enough to tune in, they're winners.
That's right,
Yeah, it's
exactly.
Viewers like you.
They're
Our
bigger
audience
losers
are the
because they
biggest
tuned into
losers
us
of
losers.
all.
They're winners. Our Patreon and links down below.
Kyle's Patreon link is down below.
And
Oh
don't forget to
Lord.
join the Only Lands.
Kyle, you should start your personal Patreon that just like every reward tier is just like it generates a JPEG that says a winner is, and then it inserts the name they choose. $1 a month,
mark that.
$60 a month.
All of it.
Like those
I need to-
campaign emails, like, name here. This election depends
That's
on
right.
you.
Uh-huh.
So
Barack
what I
Obama
need
wants to
do
talk to
is-
me.
Wow.
Oh, man.
Uh-huh.
I
Got
need
one
to-
of those today.
I need to go find the domain for Only Lands and buy it.
Right. If you keep bringing it up,
create-
it's gonna get scooped out from
I
under you.
mean, that has to be like a Magic the Gathering site of some
Almost.
kind.
I don't think so.
If it's not, you could make it that.
Oh boy.
This man is shooting down at me.
And Brian's getting
Rude.
stomped. Anyway, yeah, we just like as we started spinning up the recording itself, Phil, I think who said it? How long has it been since the last major?
I just looked it up.
13
2.8,
months.
which was the auto rifle update, was March 10th
Wow.
of this year.
And that was
7
still
months.
like
That was not a huge
right, yeah.
update.
In the grand scheme of things, the auto rifle thing was the only really significant thing in there. Like I feel like there were 3 or 4 other.
Stuff in here.
I mean, all right, we'll give it that. We'll nod to Bungie and say that was the most recent significant
Yeah,
balance
I'd
patch.
say
That's
there's
still
about
been
7 months.
right. It's like that's like pre or like just start of the pandemic
That was
is
the
the
sword
last
update,
time
yeah.
that Destiny has been significantly updated from a
Yeah.
like a balance patch perspective.
That was an amazing grenade, by the way.
There's also the update that killed sniper rifles in PvE for no reason.
Oh, right.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I
I
remember
forgot all
that
about
now.
that.
I remember sniper rifle.
What's a whisper?
Yeah, Whisper's still pretty good. Relatively.
What's it?
speaking.
Unagi's?
Nagi's a little less good.
It's a burden.
Still okay.
Is a burden.
Like, Izanagi was a valid target of something to bring down, but there are ways to do that without literally killing an entire gun type.
Yeah.
That's what you think.
Well, apparently not.
We'll see. Anyway, we're not talking about that patch. That patch is old
Talking
hat.
about this patch.
Yeah, we're talking about
That's this whole year.
the new stuff.
Yeah.
So as of November 10th, the game will be updated with all the stuff we're about to discuss, along
And
with all
maybe
the
more.
other shit that's coming in Beyond Light.
hope.
Hopefully more good.
Right.
Grenade.
Yeah, we'll see. That last little. So I guess I'll bury a little. That little thing they said at the end makes it like it seems like to me that they're not really gonna be any other like character based, like class based balance stuff until
from
they
what I'm
see
hearing.
the what's it called, stasis stuff live with the existing sandbox like in the hands of players, and then they're gonna work backwards from there. Which
Right.
You know.
Which I think is kind of smart.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that's
that's totally
fine.
okay.
I
I think
can-
they should do that more.
Oh my God.
Like I
Yeah.
think they should way more defer to, at least especially from like a PvP perspective. I think they should way more defer to the raw data they can cull from Crucible matches than whatever their internal testing metrics are for whether things
Yeah.
are good or not good
Yeah.
or whatever. But that said, I'm really pleased with the stuff that they've called out in here personally.
So am I. I'm with you, Dustin.
Do you have any dissenting opinions? Anyone like, oh, this all looks like bullshit?
I
I like what's
I'm gonna
there,
agree
but
with Brian, and I'll let him say the thing he's about to say.
it didn't go quite far enough on a handful of things.
Exactly.
Yeah, like,
Underwhelming.
yeah, it like I have notes about every change about my opinion, but I'm gonna keep those for when we.
Okay,
cover each
you'll
individual
interject them as
change.
we like linearly
But
proceed down the list.
But my broad scope opinion is that they did some really good things. But some things they didn't touch as much as they should have, i.e., 600s, because they needed more than they got.
Oh, I don't know. We'll have to find out. Like, I don't
Yeah,
totally
and
agree or
that's, like,
disagree
They
necessarily.
definitely needed more than they got.
So yeah, it's like, and that's all minutia that we can talk about when we get to that
Right.
specific. But like, the sniper rifle changes, all the hand cannon changes were really good.
People are gonna disagree with you on that.
And
I won't. I
Sean,
totally
Sean,
concur.
Sean,
Yeah,
Sean.
Kyle means the community.
Oh, sure. Well,
Yeah,
fuck them.
150 lovers out there aren't really happy with it.
Keyboard warriors
they
who.
suck it up because it was a bad idea to have them separate archetypes.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the mountaintop changes were also good.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's
yeah.
gonna like that.
But
Yeah,
that's going to be
that's a
something
home
that we won't actually get to see the real meat of it until it's in practice. 'Cause
Sure.
in theory, it sounds good, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, and I mean, I still feel that way with pretty much all of this, and I'll start from the top, and then, like, I'll kind of
Yeah,
read,
let's
and then let you
hit it
guys
all.
kind of kick it back and forth. But that's how I felt at first about reading the change to 110s before getting deeper into the document. I was like, well, that seems good, but like maybe just a tad soft. But like as I rolled it around in my head over the next hour or two after reading it, like I felt way more confident that it'll probably feel like a much bigger change in practice in the full context of everything else that they're changing once we get our hands on this stuff. But we'll find out. But in any case, so they changed 110 hand cannons to be 120 rounds per minute now. So, just a slight increased like minimum
fire.
TTK across the board. They just shoot a little faster than they used to. And they also have by far now the highest potential range of any hand cannon type, like unequivocally.
Right.
Because if you so this says that range fall off at 100
What it should have been.
is around 32 meters, which is like that's like hand cannons from like a
old.
year ago or more.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
what it was
forsaken.
coming into this.
It was around 25, I think.
Yeah.
25. So my thoughts on this specifically was that the change to 120 and the range buff are both excellent.
Mm-hmm.
The change to 120, how I will feel ultimately on it will depend on if the damage per bullet stays the same or changes.
And
If it
I'm assuming it
changes,
is staying
then-
the same because they didn't call out a change to it. So I think we'll have to work from that assumption unless somebody on Twitter or something says otherwise. Yeah.
The root of it is that they're still going to be real bad, because a 9% change, while good, is not enough to take a 1.07 optimal TTK to anything even in the ballpark of competitive.
Right.
I think it depends on what you're doing with it, because ultimately I think what it does is they'll still have 2-tap rampage kills, which is very cool, and is not it's the easiest, like, ridiculously strong primary weapon you can bust out. It'll probably excel at team shooting or sixes. I agree that if you're like getting into one-on-ones in a 3v3, in trials or whatever, it's probably not going to be the best option, but that's not the only thing. It's the only use case. You don't fight in the laboratory, essentially.
100%, and that's how I felt when using high impact pulses recently too. Was that like there is some real value to be had in being able to put out like a ton of damage really quickly, consistently. Like it's not they're not your best dueling option necessarily. If your assumption is that the only thing you're going to be doing is 1v1ing people and you just want to have a better TTK than they do. But to pull like the trigger once and put like on average like 100 damage on somebody with like one shot instantly, like
it's really meaningful.
Yeah.
Again, especially if you're in a team shooting situation, I think 120s will best utilize, and 110s already sort of do this, best utilize hand strengths, which is that it's a peak shooting weapon. You don't have to be exposed the whole time because you're pacing your shots anyway.
The range will definitely help make that a viable strategy for sure.
It makes them competitive on top of the just being a little better across the board, and additionally being a little better because a lot of stuff they were competing with has gotten brought down a tiny bit.
So
it like that range buff puts them like much more in like pulse rifle range than they were after they nerfed hand cannon range across the board, which is real neat. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
But there's still the problem of, you know, like a gnawing hunger can still compete with that hand cannon at that range.
And we're gonna get into the whole auto rifle bit later.
Yeah. So one of the biggest changes that I still feel like they should make to aggressive hand cannons is what I'm going to call them because of the RPM change.
Yep.
Is I still think they need to make increase body shot damage so that they can do
one crit, two body.
One head, two
one
body.
Crit, two body. Thank you. I was stumbling.
Can they two crit one body right now?
Yes.
They can two crit one body.
Yeah. Which is the same as 140s?
It's resilience determinate. Hercules' spreadsheet, which I think is based off of 6 resilience, has them at 3 heads to kill.
For 140s.
Yeah, for 110s.
Well, no, 110s are 80 something.
Yeah, 110s do like 91 base to the face.
Yeah, it's 91, 91,
and then 50, I think, is the body shot.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's I was misreading a column. It is 2 and 1.
Yeah.
So
they're
like,
definitely crit one body for 110.
I would like to see them like they would be more usable if they were 1 crit 2 body, because then they'd be the most forgiving hand cannon with good range and everything like that, and they would still have the same optimal TTK. So it wouldn't change the math, but it would definitely make them more user friendly, and you'd be able to duel a lot better.
See, I feel
I'm on the opposite side.
Yeah, I'm with Phil 100%. I feel the exact opposite way. And if you would like them, like, if you'd prefer that they kind of tried to still over time, like, tick everything backwards towards that, like the way things are now, like, that's more how I'd feel about it. But I definitely want them to emphasize, which I think they have started doing with this patch, like accurate primary shooting over like just making things spammier and easier. Like that's the thing that, other than the TTK period, that sucks the most about 600 autos, is that you just kind of pull the trigger and just go with it, and they just kill people. Like it doesn't feel hard to do that.
Right, and but don't get me wrong, because I agree with most archetypes that they shouldn't be as flexible as that. But because aggressive hand cannons, like, unless you make them be able to 2-tap to the head, they're like natively, they're not ever going to be meta. And so making them very lax and like and very flexible is going to be the thing that makes them usable. And otherwise, again, I don't see them really.
Even after the buff, their time to kill at 3 shots is going to be about a second, which is like.
And that's just the same as 180 hand cannons.
Well, yeah, but 180 hand cannons absolutely deserved a buff that they did not get.
Yeah,
true.
Oh, I have an interesting thought about that. We can actually skip to those next and then like work our way backwards if you want, because why not? Let's do that. So 180's got a buff to magazine size, which is still like is better than nothing, I guess. But like
I do think they needed it.
Yeah, right. Because for some reason,
fire and the smallest mag size, and that is nonsense.
Yeah. Right. Here's the thing that I would do with 180s, which kind of goes back to one of the things Phil said, I think, about aggressives now, is that in addition to that buff, I also would have buffed their native reload a little bit, and then from this point on, I would have maybe made those the only hand cannons that'll ever roll like multi-kill clip or kill clip. And then they live in like a worse base TTK but better optimal TTK once you get spun up kind of space that none of the other hand cannons would live in anymore.
That's the kind of differentiation they have never done with their weapons and should have been doing all.
And they, it's possible that they will. Like, that's a big if.
Yeah, sunsetting opens that opportunity.
But yeah, right, 100%. With sunsetting existing, they can do that really at any point if they want to, starting now. Right. They just have to, bother to do so.
Somebody has to put all the perks in a spreadsheet and then parse them out. Like, all right, these are the guns that get these are the guns that get those.
That's too much work. How dare.
And it requires an executive to have the gumption to say, let's do something different.
Right. Yeah, But yeah, I do agree that buff was a little soft. And even if you didn't just want to straight up change the TTK on those, like, across the board, you could have given them some of any other stat.
They literally just gave precedence for changing the RPM of multiple archetypes of hand cannons. They could have just buffed it to a 190 and it would have been totally fine. and they'd still be underwhelming is the thing.
I mean, that's the thing we're gonna find going through this whole list of all the guns. It's like, wow, this is underwhelming, and it has been forever, and it will never change. Like scout rifles, like why even have them?
And it like
There's
it's
so
so
many
crazy.
underrepresented archetypes. It's just sad.
Yeah, the scout rifle thing is. I'm glad they're getting more aim assist. They needed it despeatly.
Yeah, we'll see, because I have
Hand
opinions on that
cannons, I
too.
just want to say that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, right. So do I. Yeah, but I was gonna say I really like hand cannons even more than like pulses or autos, emphasizing the requirement that you have to hit headshots.
Agreed.
I think that hand cannons are meant to be sort of the sniper rifles of the primary slot, in that it's a skill weapon.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be jumping, weaving, and hitting headshots. I'm totally okay with the 120s now be requiring at least 2 headshots for the kill. That's all.
We'll see how the new 140 grouping plays out. But
Yeah, and
I
that's the
feel like
last part, and
one time
and
just
maybe
gonna-
arguably the
120
biggest
push out
change of
real
all
quick,
these,
because
especially because it
140 is just
it
gonna be
affects
better
the
still.
yeah, because
I
that one.
didn't hear what either of you
Yeah.
said. As
Yeah,
a
you guys talked to each
All right,
other the
Kyle,
whole
you
time.
go ahead.
I think 120 is just going to get pushed out by the 140s. Basically, that they don't offer quite enough over either auto rifles or 140s to be serious contenders.
I think if they're pushed out, it'll be more because of auto rifles than because of 140s. I think the range advantage they'll have over 140s at least gives them a niche in the hand cannon department.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, who knows? If they
They're
still
not-
don't,
that's
if it
enough of a
doesn't compete with Gnawing Hunger and Summoner, then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, the biggest problem is
I
that
thought- Go ahead.
the biggest problem is that the majority of the player base is going to look at they're going to look at Mercury's list and they're going to go, oh, that's the TTK value. Oh, this still sucks because the second's really long relative to most other guns, and then they're just going to full stop just. So it's like and that's part of why I will go to bat with my position on 120s. Just they should have gone one head, 2 body. Just
I think the problem I have with the 120s isn't any of the numbers they have, but like I was saying earlier, there just isn't enough of a niche for weapons in the broader sandbox, and this is more like Phil was saying, an auto rifle thing. Like there are just too many other things in that range that are going to be more consistent and more effective.
right.
And 120s will just be kind of a style, personal taste type of thing, but they're not going to matter by any means.
Even more than that, I think with the existence of bows specifically, they do the thing that conceptually we're talking about 120s doing here. They shoot once, they don't intend to kill their target, but they tend to do a bunch of damage, and then you just move on from them. And like sometimes you'll pick up a kill, but usually you're just doing up somewhere between 100 and 170 damage. And at that point, like Le Monarch is just the thing that you would use instead of a 120.
I mean, there's a lot more people that just like hand cannons as opposed to liking bows.
Yeah, to some extent, the bow
Nobody
thing is
likes-
like a fusion rifle shotgun thing, where some people just will never use them because they don't like the front end wind up on making the thing work.
I think in this case you're making a compromise where it's probably worse than a bow at being like a laning peak shooting weapon, but even though it's not good as a dueling weapon, it is better than a bow at being a dueling weapon.
Alright, you could still make some close range engagements with a 120.
I think so.
And it's better in the air than a bow, and then once you get a kill, you have the rampage or kill clip, like a couple of seconds where you're an unstoppable monster.
I do think also, not to bear Lily too much on the other stuff, but I guess we can still just bounce around a little
We
bit.
can keep moving.
Since we're talking about 120s anyway, like I do think that they might have a bigger impact in terms of like people's sniper loadouts now. Like if sniping truly is like if that the aim assist decrease they're putting on like the non-long range scopes is significant enough that like more often than not bodying someone and like swapping to like a 120 cleanup or whatever like could be way more attractive in the future potentially.
Right.
That like a bow can't do that. Like a bow can't like clean up your like whiffed snipe headshot.
Usually goes the other way. You go from the bow into a quick.
That's
draw
true.
primary or whatever.
Yeah. Right.
In that case, you're using them together.
Right.
Well, and that's like a different use case altogether. Is that it's not about the weapon specifically itself, and more about the loadout and that. I mean, before I was talking about the weapon in a vacuum.
Sure, but
And-
I just think like like you said, I think if people are just looking at the TTK list, they totally discount that. And in my mind, I think
Yeah,
that's totally
right.
fine. I think it's fine if some of the weapon frames do not necessarily compete in their own terms 100% of the time, but synergize better with other stuff put together than like some of the other archetypes do.
Definitely.
Um,
Yeah. Ultimately, like a lot of the community is just going to look at a spreadsheet and just go off that, no matter what you do. But that's not really what the game is. Like, and that's why I said earlier, like you don't fight in a laboratory. People
Mhm.
always assume you have 100% headshot accuracy all the time.
I'm like
And
the
I don't know
opposite.
why
of
that is, because like we're all really good
I mean,
players, and we do not.
That's true
have-
for arguing on the internet, but in practice, I
Yeah.
don't think that's so much the case. Like
I don't know.
even auto rifles, hundreds right now don't have the best TTK, but damn, are they easy and consistent? I think that's why they are what they are. And people just
600s right
gravitate
now-
to what's easy and consistent as opposed to what has the best TTK on paper.
It's a combination of things. 'Cause
Yeah,
the
right.
600s
I
don't
think
have the
both
best,
of them
but they
do,
have one of the best. It's
Yeah,
like
they're right,
second
they're
or
very good.
third.
Yeah, we had talked about that before, just playing online before, but I would argue that 600s right now are, other than like when Luna's was a 180, I think have the best combination of like an extremely competitive time to kill and extremely low ease of use. Like it is very easy to just go and whipping around and
Right.
kill people really
That's
quickly
pretty
with it without
stupid.
trying that hard.
I think an excellent comparison there is high impact pulses right now, which have a better time to kill than 600s, but are significantly harder to get that time
Mhm.
to kill with.
You don't see red rigs very often, and you don't see many cold fronts or cold impacts or whatever it's called.
Cold is getting more popular over time, but it's nowhere near like a 600 auto.
Yeah,
They,
it's no.
it really
not
doesn't have the
hunger.
margin of error.
It has
If you
no
miss-
margin there. That's the difference.
If you miss a bullet with cold denial or red rigs,
Right, you're committed to
you have
one
do
more
another
burst. Yeah.
And
You're
then-
going from 0.67 to 1.60,
Right.
Yep.
It's much worse.
whereas, a 600, you're going from 0.7 to usually just an extra shot, so 0.7 to 0.79, or even if it's two shots, 0.8 something and then 0.9 something.
Still really
Like
good.
you're getting margins there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gains are ridiculous.
The change they made to 600 autos specifically adds basically a bullet and makes them a little bit less lenient. I think now it always takes 9 crits to kill someone, is what I read earlier.
It's not
So
even
it,
clear
like-
to me in these patch notes because it just says it lists one
It
number
is
for the
crazy.
damage change. It's just not even clear if they're changing crit damage,
Well, crit damage is always a function of
which is a multiplier.
the
other
base
number.
damage,
Right,
right? So like
multiplier.
it's not, they didn't make that clear in that patch note, but that
No, they
is
did
like
not.
how it works in practice.
It
Oh, yeah.
should the crit damage should be going down about 23-ish from 25.
Yeah.
So you should be able to kill just fine with 8
Right.
crits, one body,
Mm-hmm.
It's,
instead of
it's a
7 crits, one
positive
body.
change, but I think
Right.
Right.
It's,
Yeah.
in the
we'll
hundreds
see.
of times we've talked about this season, I think we all agreed that the problems weren't even so much the damage; it's that they were competing at like
Every
45
range.
meters,
Mhm.
every range imaginable, and they didn't change that for some reason.
Yeah, you can literally get mapped by a gnawing hunger.
Right.
it's a huge shame because one of my favorite types of weapon is high impact auto rifle, and there's literally no reason to use it because
Right.
it operates in the exact same range as 600s, but is objectively
Have
worse
a
in every other way.
relatively worse.
Wait, I'm sure you have the spreadsheet open, or at least it sounds
I
like
do.
it.
I do.
What is the high impact time to kill?
High impact time to kill is 0.83 at the optimal and 1.3 at the suboptimal, which is worse on both ends. Like
Right.
by a non-insignificant margin too. The good news is after
It's
the
much closer
nerfs
now.
here, after the nerfs here, the high impact will be worse by an almost imperceptible margin on
Right.
both ends,
But they're still worse.
but they are still worse.
And I wonder if they do function a little bit better at longer ranges, or there's never been a reason to test that.
they've
really,
got a little bit more range to them,
Right.
but not all that much. I think the functional distinction last I checked on someone's YouTube channel was on average they're hitting 35 to 40 instead of 30 to 35.
Right, and that's before damage drop off, which for autos is not very steep.
Yeah,
So,
that was another
that's a real
problem.
problem.
Right,
Yeah,
those are the
'cause
numbers that I really wanted them to change for damage fall
Damage
off
drop
and
off.
range. So,
Yeah.
and the fact that they did is kind of mind-boggling.
Yeah, and
And not even for like upfront balance issues, but like I was saying earlier, you have all these different guns that have to operate in all these different ranges. It's asinine that the auto rifles cover them all.
Yep, that's.
You're killing so much of your design space for kind of no reason.
I mean,
Yeah,
the
and-
wild thing is that was the year one to
the
year
Uriel's
two.
issue.
Right.
I was gonna say that cannon issue more than anything, which
Yeah,
caused
right,
them
those were
to
the hand cannons.
drastically nerf all hand cannon ranges because they were
Uh-huh.
competing at every range.
Right.
Not Forgotten was effective at every range.
And
Yep.
people don't talk about it as much, but they did the same thing to pulse rifles. They increased the damage fall off pretty considerably. Pulse rifle, so that pulse rifles wouldn't compete with scout rifles at scout rifle ranges.
And they still do anyway.
It depends.
Well,
Like
there aren't enough
if you try killing a scout rifle with bygones at beyond like 40 meters, you're gonna lose every single
Right.
time.
The real victim of that change is that pulse rifles don't compete with snipers in any way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
And now pulse rifles and autos have basically the same range.
I know.
To come full
Same
circle on
high-end
that a little.
range, but then close range, you're just going to get murdered by the auto rifle.
Right.
another point I wanted to bring up in regards to the auto rifles was just how different the amount of sway and just general stability effectiveness between 600s and other archetypes. Because if you look at your high impacts, they kind of jump around pretty good regardless of what stability you have or what or if you have arrowhead or the counterbalance mod.
Dynamic sway or whatever.
Yeah, they and even 450s, 720s, they're all over the place. It's just 600s shoot like a laser on
Right.
console. Like it's not like it's PC where everything is tuned down a lot. It's on console where like everything kind of moves a good amount. You got to manage it with the joystick and aim assist.
My experience with 450s is that they're the easiest, but their time to kill is so ridiculously high that it doesn't matter.
Well, so like I used like I have a Uriel's that I got recently that had like it's I don't remember its perks. Doesn't matter. It has good stability perks. It has a stability masterwork, all that shit, and I still would rather use my summoner or my gnawing hunger or even my arc logic, just because it feels more consistent in how it shoots, and it just looks abundantly true across the board against all other auto rifles that 600s have that stability, as the bullet magnetism, the aim assist, the range, damage. They just have it all, and that's the problem, is that they have it all. If they
The
could take a
Liz
few
Lemon of
things
Destiny
down,
guns.
then it wouldn't be nearly as bad.
It does kind of bug me that they have the highest handling. Again, this is the same as the
That too.
150 hand cannon problem. I don't know why you'd make the weapon that's already the best at almost everything else also be the snappiest. To me, that's kind of backwards.
You'd think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'll have to
it-
see.
That's definitely another contributor.
I'll definitely like give it up for some of those points for sure. But I personally think I'm still gonna reserve judgment a little bit. I do think one of the
Yeah, me
reasons,
too.
like thinking about all these changes in totality, I think one of the reasons they were initially skeptical about lowering the range on them as opposed to lowering the damage, because I feel like they specifically called out that they were going to do the opposite, that they weren't going to change the TTK.
They did, yeah.
Like I bet what happened in practice while testing that was it was the similar to like the Crimson issue where they tried it out and just guns that shoot more bullets inherently suffer more from damage fall off kind of intrinsically. So like I bet that was more the thing, or like, well, these feel really shitty if we like nerfing them from that angle by a significant margin. So like I'm willing to see this play out in practice and see how it goes before weighing in too hard on whether they should have done that or not. Personally,
At the
Well,
very
it's-
least, I think it needed just 5 meters of drop off would have been a huge deal for 600s.
Yeah, I was gonna say making the drop off sooner doesn't necessarily change it much. Is where in rather than changing
The severity.
the severity of the drop off. Because if you dial the drop off range back, then it's just gonna drop off sooner, and you could also drop off aim assist a little bit too. That fixes two problems at once.
Just make it a little bit less consistent at ranges that it shouldn't be operating in.
Exactly. They really should have just done that.
I'm willing to wait and see.
I mean,
it's willing. It's interesting to note that the damage point that they came up with is pretty much the exact center point between where it was before they were buffed and where it was after they were buffed.
Right.
And nobody really used 600 autos before they were buffed.
Right.
Which doesn't mean they were bad, but they certainly weren't widely recognized.
And the other thing it does, like just the TTK change that they made, which is, again, that's like right where I would have wanted them to put things in terms of like the most average TTK across the majority of weapons that people are going to use consistently, is it kind of puts things much closer to that 0.8 that things were at, which like usually was on average like people's high-end TTKs before the auto rifle change, which I thought like personally to my taste was like a really solid point for being fast enough that that kills feel quick, but not so fast that you just feel like overwhelmed, like you do a lot of the times, just getting run down with gnawing hunger these days or whatever.
Yeah, I agree.
Uh,
And I think if you want to achieve a faster time to kill, you should have to be very accurate with an unbreathing weapon like a cold denial.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, we'll have to see. But the other change that they made, which I do think is like, I think ultimately this is either the best or one of the best they could have made to the mid-tier hand cannon models, is to just roll 140s and 150s in together. And I like that they went with the lower one. Like I like that they
me too.
They also rolled those into like to be right there in with like the way 600 autos are about to be in terms of like TTK on average.
So Phil and I were talking about this earlier. What do you think the odds are that they just don't change the stats on the ones that use 150s and they'll just be better than the 140s are currently?
They'll still be lightweight too.
Well, I think they'll. I think again, same as that other. Same as the change to aggressives. I don't think they're going to change the stats on them because they didn't say that they would.
Exactly. So the ones that were 150s will just be 140s, except better in almost literally every way.
Except for range.
Except for range.
140s have much better range, which because of their damage drop-off doesn't matter that much, but it does give them better, well, theoretically better aim assist. But the thing about 150s is they had very high native aim assist. So I don't know.
Here's another point. So the the 150s will still be lightweight too. They won't be changed to adaptive.
Correct.
But the adaptives are getting more range that the lightweights aren't getting. So,
I thought I read something like that, but I wasn't.
So the adaptives are going up about 5 meters, like when they're max range. So the adaptives are getting a similar range boost to what the aggressives are getting. Lightweights aren't getting it, and precisions are also not getting it.
I'm okay with all of that.
Yeah, so that'll be a good thing that differentiates the two. They'll serve different purposes because they'll behave a little bit differently based on stats, and range will impact adaptives more than it will impact lightweights.
Lightweights, yeah.
So what I'm reading is that there's no such thing as lightweights after this. There will not be a lightweight category.
No, lightweight category is going to be in there.
They'll all be adaptive?
No, they're going to be lightweights. They're just changing their rate of fire. They're not changing their model.
So moved all lightweight hand
folded
cannons
into
to the
adaptive.
Family.
Wait.
Yeah, I think Kyle might be right. It's hard to say. You could interpret it either way. Like reading the text again.
Woo! Confusion. I love it. Let's go.
I'm going to the page now. I'm going to read
it. It makes more sense for them to just not have.
Yeah, because that would be kind of weird.
It's weird enough that we already have News and Not Forgotten firing like 180s, but functionally being, well, now they'll be 140s, but
150s and now 140s. A nerf or not forgotten.
Already forgotten. Gone.
Unless they benefit from this range buff, and then, is it a nerf?
I'm a range buff. I enjoy different distances. It's great.
That worked in their favor the last time. I don't know if they had to manually go in and change it so that it would just natively 3-tap or not. But
Right.
Yeah.
So, I know they
it's
said that
real
they-
hard to say.
Yeah, it doesn't say for sure. My assumption, because then Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten would also be turning into adaptives,
right.
Right.
which
Which
that
I doubt that's
doesn't-
happening. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But in either case, neither one of those bothers me necessarily one way or the other. Especially because the other thing I had always said about 140s, relative to 150s even before this, but especially now that they'll have like a flat, like mirrored TTK value, is that they do on average have a little more stability also, which I personally like. Unless you have a perfectly rolled
they do.
150, like I just preferred the like taste the mouthfeel of 140s to 150s in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Like outside of that. So now that they'll actually have the same TTK, like I think there'll be meaningful differences to the way that they handle that. Like sometimes you'll use the, assuming they both do still exist. Sometimes you use the lightweights. Sometimes you'll use the adaptives, and they won't
for
feel
sure.
necessarily identical. But like I said, more than anything, I'm just glad.
My interpretation of this is definitely that there won't be a lightweight category, but whether or not that means that they'll change
Like the
weapon stats.
The old stats should be same, so
Which
as
would
much
be
as
really weird. There's stat spread is so different between those weapon archetypes, but
as much as I don't like the idea of eliminating lightweights, specifically for the reason of differentiating the way that lightweights are going to be as 140s versus adaptives. If they give her a lightweight, like overall, it's not gonna, it's not gonna piss in my cereal. I don't
think we
mind.
need 4 hand cannon firing rates.
yeah, right. I agree with that. I was going to say the same thing, and I think it's smart that they removed one and then condensed the other ones a little bit by bringing 110s up.
Right,
Um,
totally.
But I also think it's really interesting, and I definitely wasn't expected, that they would tamper with arguably one of the most popular weapon types in the
That's
game.
why people are a little on the fence / upset about it.
Right.
140s were the meta hand cannons, or 150s.
Right.
Yeah, one of these were like the sweatiest weapon in the game, arguably, and there's going to be a lot of salty people if their 140 versions aren't competing quite as well.
Right.
So Ed, I was actually gonna urge your point of, if inevitably one day there are no lightweight weapons, I'm not gonna be upset, because my hot take that most people are gonna hate is that the game moves really fast, and having people move faster isn't gonna benefit.
Yeah, I think
game's
that's
quality.
totally fine. And by the same
I'm fine
note
with
of
that,
the of the hand cannon models, like of the hand cannon models, not of all weapons, but of the hand cannon models, the 150s as they exist today are the equivalent of 600 autos. They have the best combination of ease of use and TTK. So if that's the one that's getting knocked down, I'm all for it. That's fine.
Right.
I disagree with you at all on that.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, basically of the way that they could conceivably consolidate the hand cannon models, I really like the way that they did it, like across the board.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
we'll have to play with it to really get a feel for it. But on
something
paper,
that-
I dig it.
So just like Wade had mentioned earlier about changing precision hand cannons to 190s.
Mhm.
I was thinking about it. It's like, hell, why don't they just make them like 200s or something? 'Cause they
I
would
feel like
still-
200s would have been the ambitious thing that would have made them actually viable, and
200 is really creeping in on last words territory, I feel like.
right. 190 would have been the inoffensive thing that probably wouldn't have actually helped, but could have nudged it in the right direction,
Right, it
and
would
they
be
didn't even
something.
do that.
180s are in for a tough time.
Yeah, 180s are. I don't see them coming into the meta anytime soon
Yeah.
with their egregiously bad stats by and large, and then their perk pool not doing them any favors unless they have kill clip.
Right, unless
and-
they do something like what we discussed earlier. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, but
Right.
if
getting
any
that
of these
first
models get touched again in the near term, I'm sure it'll be 180s. I'll
That's
say
a lot.
that.
yeah,
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen them make more broad stat changes to weapon archetypes. I think, seeing them increase scout rifle aim assist is really cool and really nice. We can talk about that in a second.
Yeah, we can get to that.
But I would have liked to see more things like that, and things that are more specific to rate of fire archetypes. like a handling increase for 180s or something, which they did with the reserves, which I feel was necessary. But I think that the fastest rate of fire, worst time to kill version of hand cannons should be the snappiest. Really
Yeah,
know
I
why it's
could
not.
totally be down with that for sure.
Instead of the least snappy,
Uh-huh.
they're pretty much tied with aggressive hand cannons for being like slow as balls.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey! The worst 180 is has a handling in the 33 area. The worst,
Higher than
the worst aggressive is 22.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. And I
Thin-
don't mind. Yeah.
Thin
Lines.
Lines got 17 stability, 21 reload, and 22 handling.
Thin line can get quick draw.
That's
so-
true. Right. You
You're
just you
not
can take that
wrong.
number and erase it. It's just good now.
That's right.
Yeah. So my thin line with quick draw has 666 kills on it.
Hell yeah.
So-
Sick.
Freeze it.
Anything negative said about that gun can suck a dick. But no, but by and large, that's I don't know why those two archetypes have such like terrible stats, like unusable stats, like
Right.
in most cases, because like it's not like they're gonna have a good time to kill unless they get kill page and have
Unless they
quick draw and shit.
Get good.
I mean, the traditional game design wisdom is you make the things that are the best the hardest to use, and the things that are the easiest to use the worst. And Bungie's like,
The
what?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, this
That's a good
update
question.
inches towards that, which is
Yeah,
good.
it's
Like it's a good
just-
start.
Yeah,
We'll probably all agree they need to do more stuff like that. Like, well, what if we had increased the reload on 180s a little? Just lay that down so that we have something to work with later.
Insofar as it's as a step in the right direction, I agree. But also, if they take one step in the right direction every 7 months, it
Well-
doesn't
and
matter.
That's another point that I'm sure we're going to get to. What I was going to say is this whole patch notes sandbox balance change. This would be a good like monthly update.
Sure.
If you did something like this every month, or even every like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, this would be pretty good.
Well, the,
Go
ahead.
One every 7 months is unacceptable.
yeah, I
agree.
agree. And like I said,
Yeah,
this
I
time
agree
I'll
with
give
that
them. Historically, they did do it like once a season, which I think is on the low
Right.
end of acceptable. But like, given that this is theoretically going to be one of their bigger expansions, and there's the pandemic, and they're all working from home, like to some degree, I'll like sort of let it slide. Like I'm not happy about it, but you know.
sure.
So my actual opinion on the frequency of when we should see sandbox changes is I would ideally like to see a sandbox change happen every season with triage patches as needed when
Right.
something
If
is
you could have
excessive.
done the auto
Right.
rifle thing 3 months ago and then done something else this patch, that's fine. But they just
Right.
haven't done it and have shown no desire to change the frequency at which they
Yeah.
update the sandbox.
Yeah, like it's like if they would have made that auto rifle damage change 2 or 3, like 3-4 months ago, whatever, then it would have been like, all right, then we could see how the meta works with auto
Right.
rifles dialed back, and then other broader changes, because you don't have something that is such a glaring like wound on the meta that
The wild thing to me about that exact thing is that the change they made is so easy and innocuous that there is absolutely no reason to have done it even 2 months into the season
Yeah.
after finding out through, I'm sure, available data that auto rifles were by far both the best and the most used primary in the PvP game.
Well, but
Like,
go ahead.
uh,
But is there though? Because that's still the like those are all the big questions about Destiny that no one outside of like the people managing the code base know the answers to. Like,
There are usage stats out there.
no. I just mean like in terms of their workflow and in terms of
their
like
ability
what
to do it,
updates can be smushed together or pulled away from like what other changes. Like were they beholden to a lot of the stuff in Beyond Light just because things are still so shitty on their stack that like they couldn't? I don't know. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not.
Man,
they were never putting out frequent updates even when the world wasn't on fire.
It is true.
But they were about as frequent as every seasonal rollover, and the seasonal rollovers were like almost certainly when you saw like the highest volume of code change in any given like iteration
the
of Destiny.
PvP
over a year.
sandbox changes have never been once a season. I don't think I've ever seen Destiny where they've done a real sandbox change once every season.
I'm not
a
even
given
talking about
year.
anything as big as
I
this. I'm
think-
just saying, like, you'd maybe see like 1 or 2 guns changed to some extent. Like I feel like last year
ability.
they made like at least one change like that roughly every 3 months.
Yeah, but I mean, like putting band-aids on every broken leg that comes by is hardly a sandbox change.
Right, at this point, like, you have to wonder if they actually do have a sandbox team, or if it's just like
Right.
one guy who's
Who's
got
available.
a million other duties, and this is
Right,
the
that's
thing that he does at the
what I
like
was
on
gonna say.
Saturday at midnight when he's like, "Ah, shit, I still have this to do."
It's felt for a long time that they just don't have a dedicated PvP sandbox team.
Yeah,
So
I know
whatever
that their
gets done is
PvP
just
guy.
being unloaded onto people that isn't necessarily their job.
I know that their main PvP guy had left.
Right.
Like,
But they used to
sometime in
definitely
year
have
one.
that kind of structure.
And it's like, you
It's the
know,
same
we
guy who
all know that
balances
the game's
Gambit.
not a. Sorry.
It's not an esport, but
Yeah, but like we want it to not feel like shit when we play
Right.
it.
That's not an excuse to neglect it.
Yeah, it's as if you have something or some things that are just running rampant and just make the game super unsatisfying to play or play against something, then it's like it's got to change or your numbers are going to suffer. And because this is, you know, a PvE game with PvP, there are a lot of players that come for the PvP but play the PvE because they want to enhance their PvP. So you're losing a portion of your player base or your active users for extended periods of time whenever shit like this happens.
We'll have to see. I do hope this stuff gets more frequent in the future. And again, that's always the hope with all the Bungie stuff. But like if you take them at their word and when they say how much more prompt they can do builds and stuff after taking a bunch of stuff out for like vaulting it or whatever, like
Hopefully.
theoretically that's worth something. But anyway, I don't want to I kind of just want to move on to other specific changes just because
Yeah.
that's going to
Sorry.
always be the conversation about Destiny. Even in the
Yeah.
game's best state, it's going to be like, well, updates don't come frequently enough, and when they do, they're underwhelming most of the time. Like
do,
if
they
you're
make
still
you
playing this
sad.
game and you still love it, that's just going to be that you've come to terms with the way that the fact
You're a
that it's
sucker.
it's that way to some extent.
Aren't we
I
all?
don't know. Not to get too in the political weeds on it, but I feel like that's what being a Democrat is right now. It just
no.
because it's my best thing to go with doesn't mean I
Right.
shouldn't have the right and obligation not to hold their feet to the fire every chance that I can
Come on,
get
you
to
guys
make
can do
it better.
Yep.
Just because they're the best I can get doesn't mean it can't be better,
You don't have to. You shouldn't have to settle.
and I shouldn't have to settle.
I mean, I definitely agree with you. Like I said, in terms of total volume of updates, for sure. I just don't think it warrants like a 20-minute conversation every time it comes up because everybody already knows that. Like I said, it's
Yeah,
more than
we're-
anything.
That's
It's
where I'm at.
that's
I'm ready
where
to
I
move
think
on.
that's where I think it differs from the Democratic Party. Is I promise you, the people who touch this stuff in Bungie know that it's fucked up this way. And I don't think people like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi feel that way about I don't think I think they think that the Democratic Party needs to be modified in the least amount they can and still win elections. And I think I would strongly suspect that most of the people on Bungie's teams want the game to be modified to the most extent they can without breaking it into shit.
Which they still sometimes do.
So scout rifles got buffed.
Sure did.
Not a lot.
You
But a
don't
little.
want to make them too good.
Which I
little.
bet will be awesome on all legendary scouts. And honestly, I'm 10%
Jade Rabbit
apprehensive
might be
about
so good.
the exotic ones just because they already feel really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we'll
I don't
see.
necessarily think Jade Rabbit needed buffed, and it got 2 buffs.
Yeah, right,
You're
100%.
right, they did call it
And
out.
Monster.
and I really have liked Mitter recently, and I don't think that gun necessarily
Yes,
needs a
that was
ton
the
more
other
aim
one I was
assist,
gonna
and it's going to get at least a little. So
Right, so Mitter and Jade Rabbit are the 2 scout rifles in the entire game that will benefit the most statistically from this change, and they were also arguably the 2 best scout rifles before this.
right.
So So this might just be exactly it's the opposite in that this was a buff, but this might be what like when they tried to make other fusions viable, so they nerfed Aaron's Hill, but the way they nerfed it made
Just
it
kind
the
of
best fusion rifle by far.
right. Which at least like if that does end up being true, I'll still feel better if it's if they are exotic weapons that end up that way and not just a random legendary, just because they'll still restrict your loadouts a little bit more.
Right.
But wouldn't that be nice if like legendary scout rifles were viable at some point in this game?
But that's the thing is they should still theoretically feel better than they do now, which will be great.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And now I really got to get my scholar.
Some of the problem with scout rifles is availability for the better archetypes. I think not 180s, 260s. I think the Black Scorpion model. We haven't gotten a new one of those.
There's just the 2 of those in the entire game.
Right. So if there's like a trials one of them that has really good perks, it could be really, really good.
Symmetry's time to shine. Let's go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Symmetry, Black Scorpion. Those are the 3.
And then the blue one that is also
right, and that blue one has quick draw or whatever.
There's also Frostmire's Hex, Contingency Plan, and Randy's.
Yeah, right. There's one random roll. This is the 2 things I said I wanted to see for scout rifles were increased aim assist and increased stability across the board, and I am shocked that they actually gave us one
right
of those
that we got one of them. Yeah, straight up. Yeah, I kind of agree.
Because now, like, they already had decent aim assist, but not as good as D1. If the gap has closed quite a bit, and it's hard to say until they're in our hands, but scout rifles could feel pretty good.
Yeah,
the thing about it to me, looking at it, is they didn't actually get more aim assist. They increased the effectiveness of the aim assist.
Right.
So things like high impact scout rifles, which have terrible aim assist, get less of a buff.
Yes, you're right about that.
Thing that has always been my problem, at least with the high impacts, is that they just have garbage aim assist.
It's and again, we've talked about this a lot, but that's why Jade Rabbit is so good, because it doesn't have that problem.
Breaks the mold on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the exception.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
For viewers who care about actual numbers here, the average legendary aim assist for max impact is about 30, and 30, Jade Rabbit is 80.
Yep.
It's a bigger number.
And for full circle on the rest of the scout rifle conversation, Mida is 100.
Yeah. Yeah, Mida feels really good already.
Guys, Skyburner's also 80.
I didn't know that. Right.
That's funny.
Skyburners is so weird, though.
Skyburners is weird.
If you're ADSing with Skyburners, it is a max impact
TTK
scout rifle with 80 aim assist. There's a world where it is decent enough to use.
The other thing is Jade Rabbit had armor-piercing rounds, I think.
Yeah.
By
and now it will have high caliber.
Right, and like you said, that is a straight upgrade, like for sure.
And that was replaced because
right, and that was just kind of a consequence of another bug.
Right, yeah.
In what way?
But,
they shrugged.
It fucked up the way that the perk worked that gave you bullets back or whatever the fuck
right.
it does.
They mentioned that in the thing. I wasn't sure you should.
Yeah. I would not be surprised to see Jade Rabbit or Mida or both become sneaky meta in the next year. I think they were already knocking on the door of it. You're seeing more mitas these days already, and it has a good time to kill. It gives you a bunch of extra perks, and it has the best aim assist it could possibly have.
Yeah.
Those weapons could be. And to Kyle's point, I don't think we're going to see legendary scouts almost at all. I mean, there are new ones that have
a long time ago.
Yeah, kind of a shame. We'll see.
Yeah.
You might see some more Randys.
Well, the thing that they were getting at, even in their patch notes, is that we can't really buff auto or scout rifles in the ways that we want. They wanted to, just because I get it. You can't have scouts.
Right? Yeah, you don't want people.
That's not the
like 100% of the time mapping people with like 150s or whatever. Like that's not a great idea.
Right.
But the other half of the problem is just the maps don't facilitate scouts, and I mean, we'll see what the new map loadouts are for next year, but that will be a lot behind how many scout rifles we see.
Yeah, that's always been the problem for
with, between aim assist or whatever on snipers changing and revoker falling out. That'll give scouts some time to breathe too.
Yeah,
exactly.
for sure.
Yeah.
And on paper,
hopefully,
that snipe change seems good. Like that seems.
I hope right. I hope it works as intended.
Yeah, I mean,
agree.
so
Nice.
really, like that they're going. Anything that has a short zoom scope is losing a lot of bullet magnetism,
Mhm.
and anything with a really long zoom scope gets a little bit more.
Getting a little, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that's actually something that ends up being meaningful in PvP. I could totally see a world where people just keep using low zoom scopes and like mid-tier snipers just quit sniping, but the
Mhm.
high-tier snipers are so good that they're not even affected by it. So I hope that's not the case. But
Yeah, we'll have to see.
If nothing else, for at least like the trials method, not having Revoker in it anymore will go a long way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
agreed.
right.
The good, some of the good news there is that even the distinction between the like big zoom and the lowest zoom isn't actually all that much. Like the lowest zoom is 35, and the highest zoom, well, the lowest zoom available for things that can't get anywhere near the lowest zoom is 53. So like that's not that huge a distinction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, like the biggest thing is that like it depends on how they design their scopes moving forward, because like a lot of the problems are like with Tatara Gaze, that boxy ass scope sucks to use, and then whereas you know Revokers was nice and open. Same with Beloved. Supremacy had the same thing.
I hate the scope on Supremacy.
I thought it was fine.
That's just
Like,
me.
I mean, to be fair, I have issues with Fight of the Foxes, but that's mostly just the reticle.
I actually don't like Twilight Oats, and that was, you know,
I don't really like
35 tied with Revoker.
I can't believe that they keep making scopes that are visually intrusive on anything, but like Vigilance Wing is a really good example where the base model of Redrix, for everybody who's used it, like it's like on your screen that it's just unfun. It doesn't feel good. There's nothing good or cool about it, and it doesn't feel like it's an intentional balance decision. It feels more like a graphic design decision.
I think I agree with you for sure in those primary cases. I kind of hope that it becomes a functional decision going forward for snipes, but that remains to be seen. Because I would love it if the ones that have the highest aim assist also visually are the most constricted and like just have the least information at any given
Going back
point.
to that game design decision.
That's a creative solution to a complex problem. So I
the
wouldn't
best thing should be the hardest.
Well, that's fair.
Okay,
A man can dream.
No, and I'm on board with it too. I'm just saying that like, so that's one of the factors. So like, you'll be using a more restrictive scope that gives you more benefits, but you won't be able to see as well. I just kind of hope that they like maybe give a few more snipers a little tiny bit better handling, so it doesn't feel like you're swinging around a fucking like tree trunk as you're using it.
I want to swing around a tree trunk.
Relative to using like a 140 or a 90 RPM sniper that you can just whip around like know like it's a Republican stick.
all of the aggressives are in the 30s in handling, which a thing that I'm irritated they didn't address in the TWAB, and maybe never will address because they've never spoken about it, is how quick draw is just way better than almost every perk in the game.
Yeah, I was a little surprised, but also not surprised.
It definitely needs a nerf.
It needs a nerf. And when they changed Outlaw, I think it was originally at Rapid Hit, and they said like we don't like it when perks trivialize your stats. I thought for sure it was foreshadowing a quick draw change, but maybe not.
They don't want to piss off the 100% effect on users using winners right now.
Right.
Yeah, right. Even if it gave you half as much benefit as it did, it would be an amazing perk. So.
Exactly. Like 50 handling untethered to anything is still enormous. Like Elemental Capacitor is one of the best perks in the game, and it gives you 20 of a stat, and it's tied to your class.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was actually going to amend my statement about like maybe nerfing quick draw. Maybe be extremely selective with the weapons that get quick draw.
I mean, I think that's the smarter choice.
Yeah, right. Either of those is if you apply it cleverly is a good idea.
Never put it on a special weapon.
This expansion will be the first time we see their post sunsetting design philosophy.
It's true.
So
Right,
I
yeah,
think
this coming year. Yeah.
we could see quick draw on very selective weapons and other stronger perks, and hopefully they'll be well chosen. Hopefully, like we alluded to earlier, you'll see things like kill clip on 180s more often, and not so much on better 180 hand cannons. That is,
Right.
not so much on 600 autos.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Now, if my memory serves me correctly, I think I remember hearing them maybe in like one of the state of the game things that they did talk about being more selective with their perk distribution.
Yeah,
which is
to
why
some extent
they're
they've done that too.
sunsetting.
Like, if you look
Yeah,
at the
they
first
have.
on the trials weapons,
Was that
they sort of
before or after
reflected
Fell Winters?
not getting busted
After Fell
damage perks
Winters.
on everything.
Cowards.
Right, yeah. Like, kill clip isn't showing up on almost anything anymore. And Gnawing Hunger kill clip is like one of the only things that
Right.
is an abomination from the last couple of seasons.
Mm.
But then they got
But
the
they did it.
Yeah, they did.
backlash of their shoddy design work on the front end because all those weapons now are loaded with a bunch of crap perks that do almost literally
Right.
nothing. Because
Yeah.
that's
Another
all they
problem.
had left after you get rid of, the good shit like kill clip, rampage, rapid
Yeah.
hit, quick draw, like shit that actually does stuff.
Uh-huh.
I'm like halfway there with you. I think there's a lot of stuff that people are sleeping on. Like I think hipfire grip is totally worth using. Elemental capacitor I think is awesome.
Yeah,
that is
I-
like
I
it doesn't
like
attract a bunch of
Hipfire
attention.
grip, people weren't sleeping on. It's just that they buffed it last season.
But I mean, even
They buffed
still,
it
I
a
think
lot.
even after the buff, I think people just like undervalue it more than they should.
The
Well,
problem,
yeah,
the problem
I
with
agree
that is
with
more the
that.
meta, unless that got a buff. It's just that none of the weapons that really are super meta do hip fire grip.
Right, you
And that's
wouldn't
kind
want
of-
a 600 to do a whole lot of hip firing. You would want that for like a sidearm or an SMG or something, but both of those get decimated by 600s right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's
600s are snappy enough that it doesn't feel like you really need to hit the hip fire on them. And their zoom is usually really low too. So
that's probably more of a meta problem than anything else right
that's
now.
what I was saying is just like it's a meta issue more than like anything to do with the perks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think hipfire is one of the more viable and cooler medium range perks, but there's still plenty of bottom tier perks that are actually stupid and pointless.
Like
Like
Overflow,
Grave Robber and
Underdog,
Overflow
or Grave
and-
Robber, or Dragonfly.
Right, all that shit. So that stuff just sort of makes perk pools on weapons bloated, but doesn't really offer anything. I mean, a couple of those have PvE utility, although in almost none of those cases are they top tier PvE utility.
I was gonna say, tell me right now what Underdog does.
When you get damaged, it reloads your weapon.
No, it gives you a boost
it gives
to
you reload
reload
speed.
speed.
Right.
Hey,
Pulse monitor is the other thing.
Yeah,
Pulse
that's the
monitor.
reload
Pulse
one.
monitor is- Yeah.
So like
Pulse
I
monitor
actually
reloads even
Pulse
if it's
monitor,
not the weapon
there's
you're
almost
holding,
a use
which is
case
kinda
for,
cool.
but Underdog is complete garbage.
It's just the same.
Underdog's pretty.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say, like contrary to what you guys are saying, I actually think that Overflow is a better perk than you're giving it credit for.
I kind of like
in
Overflow
PvE and
too.
PvP.
Right.
I agree.
Overflow-
I
It's
also think
interesting.
Overflow
I have had some
Overflow
problems with
shines a little more on special weapons than it does on primaries, which is kind of
It's,
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
fun to get used on a primary because you pick up a brick and suddenly there's 70 bullets in your auto rifle's mag or whatever.
Uh-huh.
It's neat.
It's
It's a cool
like-
gimmick. It's the kind of thing that I wish I didn't have to spend a perk on, and it could be
Yeah,
like some sort of
right.
extra benefit.
If that was a weapon mod, I'd be more likely to use
Mhm.
something like it.
Right.
Mhm.
Having
Using
it
a
take the
perk.
place of like dynamic sway reduction
Exactly.
or something is brutal.
Yeah.
So they did change some perks too. Outlaw got buffed this time.
right. Which
Yeah.
either
Yeah.
back to the way it was before or like somewhere between. I'm
Or
not
in between.
100%
I
sure.
think it's somewhere in between. Yeah, which I think is probably a good change. They nerfed it a little bit hard, but
It wasn't doing a whole lot.
And you have to hit the headshots. Like it's a.
yeah.
I get it. I'm okay with that. Merciless gets
That-
more in the chamber, or not in the mag, but in the in reserves.
In the reserves. That's
It's a
what I'm
weapon
really
that-
glad for.
It chews through ammo very quickly, and it gets stronger the more ammo you have. So
Mhm.
in a way, so change. I don't know if it's enough to make that weapon.
Right, I hate
meta,
to break the news, but Merciless isn't coming back as a DPS weapon.
but I like it when they take underused exotics and make
Right.
them better.
Yeah.
I
Plus it
wanna
up a
see
tiny
more of
bit,
that.
something.
It
Yeah.
needed something more if they wanted it to do the thing that they obviously want it to do. It was amazing in year 1, and then
And then they made other weapons.
Then they made real
Right,
weapons,
And the world changed, and now it's bad.
But
Right.
it's mini pocket infinity, guys. I like it.
Like,
It was very cool as a heavy weapon back in the day when,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, heavy weapons didn't have a whole lot of ammo, so you could choose to have Merciless, this thing that had a lot of ammo and also spat out a bunch of damage. But
there
now,
were no swords, and rocket launchers were and still are bad.
now you've got swords or grenade launchers, which also have a bunch of ammo, but do way more damage.
Speaking of rockets, they're gonna get also 1 or 2 more in reserves, which is a start.
Yeah,
And they specifically called that one out
Again.
as a start, which is like that's cool.
Yeah,
I can live with that.
Right. I'm glad they mentioned that because I think everyone acknowledges that like that is a smart change that needed to happen, but it is
Right.
definitely not enough.
Uh-huh.
So we'll
No,
see
why
where they
why
go
would
with
anyone use rockets for anything other than PvP right now?
Right.
I can't remember the last time I did.
I mean, Wardcliff Coil is still
Well,
very
like,
good.
I meant like just a generic legendary.
Yeah, it doesn't happen much.
Mm-hmm.
I think Two-Tailed Fox is pretty cool too, but that does not fall into that category. So.
It still doesn't. It manages to have an identity, but that identity doesn't have a niche to fill. Still no reason to use it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we finally made it down to the mountaintop stuff, which again, I'm all for all this. Nerf
Yes,
everything about
100%.
mountaintop. Fuck that
I-
gun.
I'm on board.
I honestly think this is the one area of the PvP sandbox where they knocked it out of the park.
Yeah,
So-
I agree.
I was actually gonna say they nerfed Mountaintop. I don't give a fuck what they did. The less it does, the better.
Right.
And fuck that gun. Next,
That's right.
next
That's
topic is Mita.
yeah.
Right, like, great job.
Yeah,
Not
right,
fun,
exactly.
all
A
around,
plus,
but
A plus nerfing
move
of mountaintop.
on.
It will not be
It's
missed.
mostly just, it's
Go
mostly
ahead, Blake.
just every other legendary breech-loaded grenade
Right.
launcher now, but a little faster, which is always what it
Which is
should have
cool.
been.
Yeah.
Instead
Yeah.
of being
Yeah.
perfectly
Yeah.
accurate.
It was basically a rocket launcher, like
Right.
a bad before.
Right, and now if you use it in the air, it's actually like it
basically
suffers
can't
from
use
the
it in the
problem
air.
that it's supposed to suffer from.
Yeah, that I think
Right.
is like that's the only thing I was gonna actually touch on of the specific changes that I'm really glad they did that to the air accuracy, and I'm a little surprised that they I'm glad that the game engine is capable of that because just the nature of that projectile, I wasn't even sure if that was a thing they could do to that gun, but
Right.
I'm glad that it is and that they did.
I like that now. If you're using Mountaintop, Icarus Grip is a thing you might run on it.
Right, instead of quick swap, that's a huge deal. Like honestly,
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
I think most of the community is on board with this. Even though Mountaintop's a pretty popular weapon, nobody really likes it.
Right. No, even for the reason they pointed out, like, if you're getting blasted out of the air with it, there was nothing you could do.
Exactly.
And
There was-
nobody liked it.
We've said this a lot about both sniper rifles and Mountaintop in the last 7 months, longer in some cases. But there's no counterplay to those weapons if
No.
you're good enough with them. You just have to hope that your opponent misses, and that's not fun, and it's not good game design.
Yep.
So I'm glad to see him take a baseball bat to Mountaintop.
Yeah. Usually, I'm not in favor of just obliterating a weapon, but I think we're for it in this case.
We're all on board.
When they
I'm glad
originally- Go ahead.
I was going to say I'm really glad they bothered to do this, even though it's sunsetting.
That's exactly
Agreed.
what I was
Yeah.
gonna say. When they first
would've been
announced
so
the sunsetting
easy.
changes, I was almost positive they were just gonna leave Revoker and Mountaintop exactly as
Yeah.
they were.
It would have been very easy to justify not doing anything to this weapon.
Yeah.
I mean,
They did.
people would still run around in quick play with this shit if they didn't nerf it. After
right.
even after sunsetting.
Now
So
we
it's
just
really
have to
good that
worry
they
about
did.
Revoker.
Even
Well,
then,
it's not a big deal in 66.
Yeah, it's not as bad in 66, and it'll have reduced damage. System,
Right.
So
Yeah,
hopefully
that's
that's enough.
That's gonna be nice.
Yeah. Falling Guillotine is getting a little nerfed, which
Mm.
I mean
I get it.
that was probably
I
a
get
long
it.
time coming,
Yeah,
honestly.
I know.
And I feel like everyone
Yeah.
in the community also
knew.
agrees that this needed it.
It
Right.
does,
We
but
do.
I'm still sad about it.
so
Every season or two, there's a new DPS king in PvE,
Mhm.
and it is always a short-lived throne. we knew this was going to happen,
I
and it's still
know.
going to be viable by the looks of it.
Yeah, like, it's
Yeah.
fine
It'll
now.
do more damage than any other sword.
They said they were going to
but
keep it
it's
as being big boy.
Yeah, it's gonna be marginally less,
and
though,
maybe
or marginally more.
maybe more than anything, it's still one of the most ammo efficient heavies in the game, which is
Yeah.
a huge deal.
Right.
Specifically for things like Nightfall ordeals, like you need that ammo economy.
Yeah.
I will say that this might be the time if you haven't gotten a Temptation's Hook with Vorpal yet, maybe go find one of those.
Yeah.
That's
Because
what
it
I
might
did.
actually out DPS Guillotine now, because you can stack the projectile ticks with just swinging on stuff with it. So,
Right.
Right.
I think those were kind of some of the few
So I hit.
hooks that I was keeping were the Vorpal ones. Just because it was different.
Nice. I know you like Vorpal.
I do.
What were you gonna say,
I'm a
Brian?
Vorpal girl.
So like I actually, my opinion's a little contrary to what they did. Like, yes, it needed a damage nerf, but I kind of feel like they should have, maybe made all heavy a little more damaging and satisfying.
I don't know. We'll have to
But-
see. I definitely think it needed some kind of damage nerf. I'm a little surprised that they didn't nerf the ammo economy on it in any way, because you can also swing it an infinite number of times, like
Right.
special swings included, basically with like a full like heavy stack. So
Right, if you've
Right,
got Relentless and Whirlwind on it, like,
uh,
you can swing forever.
yeah,
I do agree with Brian that I think the heavy PvE meta needs to be shaken up a little bit.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
they're aware of it because they're working on Rocket.
right,
Launchers,
exactly.
but-
That Rocket's at least being changed again at some point.
Mhm.
Like that's definitely going to happen to some degree, which is good.
Right.
Linear fusions still need a place,
Yeah.
and
Machine guns need something.
machine guns
Yeah.
need a place.
Oh yeah.
Guns.
Right. Yeah.
And then you've got like a million exotics that are still completely worthless right now. Like,
Right.
who uses Acreus for anything? It's a good
one.
DPS option. It's just
Oh.
not good enough to make up for the fact that its range is 8 meters and then it literally drops off.
I
Be
miss
using it for
man, I miss two-shotting the fucking the Warden of Nothing with Acreus.
Acreus is fun. I wanted to.
I think
wanted to
Acreus
stay
might get a
with
little
it.
play once the catalyst becomes like a thing that everybody can get trivially.
It does make the weapon feel much better.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, it really
We'll
does.
see.
I don't know, I've had it for a year and I barely use that.
I mean, there's a lot of weapons that are okay that
Yeah.
I've never used.
Yeah.
And that was that was the one time I used Acreus, and it was just like it was my first real like PC PvE endeavor. Was I literally just went into Warden of Nothing and did it solo on my Warlock and two-shot the boss with Acreus, and it felt super good.
I mean, it increases the reload speed, but if I'm not mistaken, it still fires slower than the reload, so
Sure.
it doesn't matter. Like, the reload speed could be,
That is,
you know...
that is
In that case,
technically true in a way that's barely relevant for most people.
It doesn't matter if you're standing in front of a boss and just unloading it, but it still matters for, like, I don't have to reload as often when I'm moving in between ad waves or whatever, or,
Yeah.
like, moving from enemy to enemy. Because having everything chambered on the get-go just makes it easier to move around and not have to literally pull your character to reload.
Yeah, your movement speed isn't dropped to your just run speed. You can sprint. And yeah, I'm interested to see what they do in Beyond Light as far as heavy goes. I don't have enough. I don't have enough, opinions on it to give a good full explanation.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
we'll see. But you're right.
a lot of
I'll be excited when they change some more of that stuff.
Determined by just the rated counters or the high-end schemes.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
What's the
What
rating?
becomes viable?
So here's one question for me as we whittle down the last couple things we haven't talked about that they changed. Like Ruinous Effigy got nerfed.
Yeah.
Like what?
Finally, God, jeez.
yeah,
All
The
right.
reign of terror is over.
So the best explanation for that, and an explanation that holds true often for things that Bungie occasionally nerfs that people have no idea why they did it, is it usually breaks an encounter that they're designed.
That's the
right.
thing that I was gonna say. I was like, there must be something in the raid that, like, in its existing state, this trivialized it for some reason.
Right.
It is or was really good at just killing a bunch of tiny ads real quick.
The
Wait,
exact
realize that. I'll let you say it.
The exact thing that I thought was they bring back Crota's End, and the Thrall Walk was trivialized by
By existing
having
Rusev as
wait.
is. That would make some sense.
Wee.
I like that Thrall Walk. That's fun.
the Thrall Walk is a lot of fun, and I agree with their change if that is what is happening.
Sure, and
But
it
outside of that,
It is worth noting that it doesn't really nerf the like if you still want to meme on it with people with it in PvP, it doesn't really nerf that. Like the dunks are still just as good as they were before. So
Yeah, it's just the light attack that got nerfed.
and the shield.
Yeah, and the shield.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, that would have totally fucked up that fucking the Thrall Walk.
Exactly.
Right.
yeah, in
Whatever.
that context, it's definitely. I'm glad they're proactively changing. I like it's fun. It's good to see shit like that because you want those encounters to be engaging and meaningful at least for some amount of time. Eventually, it all gets trivialized, but. What
They
else?
finally answered the Sturm and Mida questions.
Yes, they did.
Sort of,
An
because
absolute
this is just
file.
basically unless they're because this doesn't state that they're updating the their like infusion caps, right? So is this like a quick play fix
they
basically?
won't
No,
have infusion
They are.
caps
They
anymore.
They said in the comments.
Oh,
They'll be-
okay.
They'll be
forever.
exotics, basically.
I gotcha.
No,
Well, in that case,
you'll
then
get
yes. All right, nice.
Yeah, you'll get them from the gunsmith, and they will have a static roll, and they will never sunset.
Okay, dope. Yeah, I'm way into that.
Yeah,
That's
Why-
really
the
good.
most obvious.
Why does the
logical
mini tool? What
solution.
is that? What is the point of that?
It does things when you have Mida multi-tool
Okay.
equipped. It's an SMG.
I knew it was an
doesn't even
SMG,
do
but I wasn't
many
sure.
things. It gives you an extra 2 mobility.
Right. It's not
Okay.
as meaningful as Drang.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because, like, Sturm and Drang need each other, but
Yeah.
it's not like that.
Right.
Okay.
Although I
Yeah,
will say
it
the
has a
perks that they
stacking
added to
mobility
it,
buff.
like
Yeah,
they gave it
it-
hipfire
it-
and kill
it-
clip, which is pretty sick,
Yeah.
honestly.
That
Yeah,
it might
yeah.
actually be really good with that.
Yeah, I like both of the new rolls of those weapons, at least for the perks that we can see so far.
Yeah, then accurized and moving target are going to be really good.
Right,
Yeah,
accurized
just-
always good. Moving target definitely good on sidearms. Yeah, totally.
Yep.
I'm losing my.
Okay, yeah. In
measure
that
drang,
context,
so I'll
I'm
try
glad you guys
new
clarified
old
that
drang.
because that is dope. I'm glad that those are statically rolled, persistently available pairings for the exotics that they go with. That makes me happy.
What about this Arbalest change, man?
Which I didn't even know this was a thing, but Yeah.
Me
They,
neither.
they were bugged to do more damage against shields than they're supposed to, I guess.
And
Whatever.
someone at Bungie noticed. 'cause I
Right.
don't think anyone else did.
yeah,
So-
Arbalest
so
didn't
my
get a ton of
position-
PvE play in general, even though that's a thing it does.
So,
You can't use that gun in
so my
PvE,
position
that's a
with
lie.
this is Arbalest is really annoying because of its aim assist. So
Right. It's
They
aim
changed
assist
to
is
that.
still
Fuck
6,000,
off.
so
Yeah, I'm actually predicting Arbalest will be really meta next
Yes,
season.
it will.
I'm sure you're
Yeah,
right.
no,
Like
Great.
I would
Yeah,
strongly
but
suspect that
yes.
that will be the case.
well, people
Yeah.
have been saying that all along too, which is kind of scary that they didn't notice or care.
Well, we'll
But
see.
also, like, it is a linear fusion rifle, and I'm way more okay with this being the thing that is meta than
Right.
Revoker.
Yeah, it
for
ta-
like a
Yeah.
dozen different
It has
reasons.
wind up. You can hear people
You
wind
can
to get
real
up.
quick.
Mhm.
It's still an
an
exotic,
exotic.
so it still restricts
Yeah.
your loadout
Yeah,
a little.
yeah.
Like
It doesn't
mean-
refund ammo that you miss.
that, yes.
We all remember the 2 weeks where people were grinding Komodo and Arbalest was freaking
Everywhere.
everywhere, and how toxic and awful that
I mean,
was.
it won't be that.
I
it
was
won't be
part of that
into-
problem.
Intense though.
Yeah, me too.
Mhm.
But like, just the gun itself has kind of flown under the radar in terms of how stupid it is.
Mhm.
Right.
It is
Yeah.
It's a
incredibly
very forgiving weapon with a really low zoom that I think people who are not great at sniping but want to keep sniping will flock to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
totally.
again, the people who are great at sniping will probably just keep using, Twilight Oath or
Whatever.
I guess
of the
not that one,
Fox.
but
Or like
Supremacy.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of toxic and awful, let's get into the last big thing on this list, which is adept weapons.
I definitely want it. Yeah, I want to talk a lot about.
So like here's my hot take on
Do
the
it. Hit
adept
me.
situation, as I think all
Okay.
of the incentives to getting adept weapons are awesome, and I think that none of the stuff that they laid out here does anything to make the trials pool larger. So it's just gonna be
Well-
even shittier and more toxic than before,
might be
theoretically.
Yeah, because
I don't
this is
disagree
all
with that.
top end gear or loot. You have to be one
Flawless.
of the people who is lighthouse capable.
Yeah.
to get
Yes,
any
that's
of
my
this
problem. That's the thing that I think is terrifying about the proposition of this.
Yeah, Right.
Uh,
I think it will bring in more like medium skill PvP players who maybe avoided it, but it is not going to bring in like people who were otherwise not wanting to play PvP.
right.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting thing about it to me was that since you have to go flawless to get any role of it, you'll stay in the playlist much longer. So that'll keep a lot
That's
of
true.
people
Maybe.
that were technically good enough to go flawless, but not dominate the playlist in the
That's
the
also
playlist.
that is
Yeah,
a
you're
really
right
good
about
point,
For a lot more
honestly.
people.
Yeah.
If you couldn't break that barrier before, you're not gonna break it now. But
No.
Right.
But there might be
You're
more
right.
similar skilled people because of that.
right.
So maybe
the dwindling of the playlist every week and every
Uh-huh.
day
every
isn't
week and
gonna
every
be severe.
season. Like,
Yeah, I think the overall numbers in the playlist will be much healthier, and definitely
time.
it gives you a lot more of a reason to run multiple lighthouse runs in the same weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Like
The
there are
numbers
going
are
to
gonna
be weeks.
real weird.
It's going to be weird because there are
Right.
going to be weeks where you're like, "What's the weapon? Oh, it's
Right.
the auto rifle or whatever."
Yeah.
We have to get
Right,
multiple
yeah.
rolls of this, and it's not going to come back for 2 months.
Uh-huh.
Like,
But then the next week, the flawless item is like the class item.
Right. I say every armor
Yeah.
week is gonna be dog shit now. It's gonna be like, oh,
see,
whatever.
But those are the weeks where they drop the mods, or they'll still drop.
There's gonna be
mods.
one mod every week, right?
Yeah, so
I think
there-
that's right.
You might be like, okay, it's the class item, but this armor or this weapon mod that drops this week is really good.
Uh-huh.
So, man, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's gonna be weird.
Yeah, so that's all really super good, and it should make the playlist a little more healthy and not just like, playing the game in such a way that it feels like you should be getting paid to play the fucking game.
me
Yeah.
and trials
There's
every
definitely
time.
incentives to actually play the mode now, which is
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Kyle, the
People
thing
want
you
from
said
the
does make
beginning.
me feel a little bit better about it after you said it, that it will incentivize mid-tier players to just play more consistently in the times that they're playing. Like, I think that's a good point.
Right.
I do hope that in the future they'll revisit trials again and still keep trying to incentivize garbage tier players to get in there and just play a little bit.
right.
Like, just
You
take
need to-
since
you need to
adept
lower the
weapons are the
people
real
out.
prize at this point anyway. Just let people get infinite drops. Like, give people 3-win drops forever. Who cares? Like, just
Yeah.
give it to them.
Right.
Yeah, I don't
There's
understand why
no
that's
reason
not
not
a
to do
thing.
that.
Well,
Yeah.
and I was even thinking like, just make it so that like since adept is the peak that you're going for.
Mhm.
Like once you get the 3-win drop, make it so that you may get a 3-win drop
Yeah.
Sure.
on the fourth
whatever.
win, and then
Right,
on the
just
fifth
bring back
game,
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
and just like let them, and then like they're in your weekly loot pool for that week. So every trials game you play, you can get thing that you've already gotten on that character.
Right.
Yeah.
This is gonna blow your mind, but that's how Destiny works.
Gas.
But yeah, 1,000%. When you consider that adept weapons are now the prize in trials, and that everything gets sunset at some point anyway, like I don't see any reason not to just flood people with shit
Yeah.
and just like
Yeah,
get them into that playlist.
Definitely.
Especially if you do just open up the loophole and just have random stuff drop. Most of that stuff you get's gonna suck. It's not gonna make any difference whatsoever.
I hope that's not the case. I still have some hope that the loot pool will be better this season in terms of like the types of weapons chosen and the perks on them. And
Okay, so Phil, prepare to be disappointed by my
Yeah.
postulation, but I'm pretty
Okay.
sure what they're saying here is that the trials loot pool isn't changing at all this season. It's just going to be
Right, that
adept
was
versions
my
of the stuff that
understanding.
exists.
they explicitly said that the armor is not changing this season, but I didn't read anything about the weapons.
I mean, those weapons all look the same.
Oh, Lorraine's
The
right. They
weapons
did put the
they in
screenshot
picture
up.
Their
were
images?
the weapons.
Yeah,
There's
a-
one screenshot of. I'm assuming that's the adept shader on
Yeah.
all those guns, and it is
Yeah.
just the
It's
guns
just
that are already in
everything.
there.
Weapons.
Scout.
Well, just
Yeah.
uh,
Basically, there's like I think
graphic
there's one line of text in here where they say like future weapon, like they mention other weapons in like a future tense, not like a few more future tense than this update.
yeah.
I remember reading that for armor. I just don't remember reading it for weapons.
Yeah, as it stands now, I'm pretty sure it's literally just the same weapons.
Ooh.
Or-
They're really making me
But
want to play
y-
trials.
But yeah, I mean, like, realistically, they really just need to probably go back to the Destiny 1 loot system and maybe be even more rewarding than it was.
Right, you keep the token structure as it is, but also have random drops. Why not?
Mhm.
Yeah, and and you don't have to get a random drop every game.
Yeah.
Just make it a
Right.
possibility.
Yeah,
Make it a
what do you
50% chance. You know.
Mhm.
So then you go, all right. Well, I got my 3 wins. I lost. Going back in.
Now there's
Every
no
game
reason to
you,
play.
yeah, like you can go back in and it's like, oh, it's a dice roll. Oh, look, there's there's another auto rifle. Play again, I didn't get one. Play again, got another auto rifle. But at the same time, they also gotta they gotta make it so you can't reset your card until it's dead or something.
Oh, sure. I don't know. Yeah.
Because
I think I
like,
would do that.
That's such a tough thing to do. Yeah.
yeah.
I
Well, the
mean,
problem
if I
is-
started a card 02 or like
Right.
especially 01 and they were like, you have to lose 3 more times before you can reset it, I wouldn't play Trials again that week.
Uh-huh.
like really, they just need to find something so that people don't go, oh, I got the 3 win, then they just reset their
Right.
card the whole fucking time. Because
I feel like
that's the one
adding
drawback.
adding in random drops would probably mitigate
Random drops
some
that get
of that.
more common as you
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
If the drop
Yeah,
rate
yeah.
is increased and
Mhm.
whatever your win tier is, yeah, 100%.
starts at 10% and then it goes up 5% every time you get a win.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it's not a certainty, but I'm gonna say it's pretty likely that it's just the existing weapon pool for this next coming season. We'll have to see when it
That's
when
what it looks
drops,
like.
but in terms of just like what adept weapons are and what they do, I like all of that. Like
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So the one thing about this that has me concerned, it notes there are 2 different types of adept mods. The one sounds really cool, which is
One is
just
a
it gives
terrible
you a
example.
masterwork stat. The other one sounds terrifying in its design concept, which is it slightly buffs the thing that it's supposed to do normally at the cost of an enormous amount of a stat. And the
So-
example that they give is adept mag versus backup mag, which
the
is
example they picked is pretty bad.
Yeah.
right. It
yeah.
gives you 30% more
More mag.
more mag at the cost of 20 handling.
Mag at minus 20 handling.
It's a fucking crap ton of handling, and
unless you have quick draw, and in which case,
Well, if you got quick draw,
Right.
that's
I'm going to slap that on my quick draw scholar.
That's
now with
right.
Improved aim assist.
to
got more points.
to that point, like there's I can think of like somewhere between 0 and 3 weapon mods that I care about on a normal basis that I would actually want them to be even better. And like I don't know what I'd be willing to give up to make them a little better, to make them marginally better. Like
I mean,
so
there's a lot of
counterbalance is
times-
cool. Icarus
anytime you can,
mod is
like, get a-
cool.
A stat buff and you just like eats your reload or something. Like that's compelling.
Yeah, right.
I don't know that I would take 5 more recoil
Well, yeah,
direction in
the
exchange
math
for
on it is
20 reload, though.
I'm assuming that those are just numbers somebody threw out and not specific
I
examples.
don't. They
I
don't.
bet
They
those
don't
are real.
usually do that. They usually give you the exact patch notes numbers.
we'll see.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah,
I
we,
mean-
we will just have to wait and see for some of it because there could be new weapon mods this season entirely.
Yeah, that's true.
Mhm.
It's possible.
To some extent.
Mhm.
But also, like one of the examples I threw out at Wade earlier was like, what if there's an adept rampage mod that gives you another second, like,
Or
how cool
or
would
another
that be?
stack.
Super cool.
Yeah, right. Yeah, your rampage skills give you an
Right.
extra stack.
Oh my
Disgusting.
god, that'd be broken.
Right, there's a lot of cool design issues there, so we'll see what comes out.
I mean, when you say there's a lot of cool design space, that's almost a guarantee that Bungie's not going to use it.
No.
I'm gonna look at my weapon mods right now and speculate about what would
Right. But
while we're talking.
at the end of the day, like for something that is
These were the mods that were consumable, right? You didn't just have it forever; you had to use each one individually.
I have
Or
no
nothing
idea.
as a shader.
Yeah, that's
I think it was the shader.
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. Never mind.
right. Yeah, I'm just glad that if they're gonna bother to like I hope I hope that what this looks like is reflected in like raid weaponry and stuff too going forward. Like if
Yeah.
shit's gonna be coveted,
Yeah,
like
agreed.
fucking swing for the fences a little bit. Like,
And
When was the
supposedly that
last
the
time
whole-
they
the whole
had
logic
raid
behind
weapons that were
rotating.
truly coveted?
Sacred Providence is really good.
You literally went as far back as you
No,
could.
I mean there was not just
Just like a thing with
that
good
was
rolls,
good
but like a
archetype,
step above
but,
that.
like, not just a weapon that was a good archetype, but like you wanted to do the raid because the weapons generally were
Right.
all
Yeah.
something that you really wanted. And I
That has
feel
not been
like
the case in D2 at any point.
right. I feel like the answer is the raid in the last raid in D1.
That might be true. I mean, I kind of concur. Like, I only really played D2 and from Forsaken onward, but
Yep, I
from
have
that point, I can't say that that's ever been necessarily true
Yeah,
for raid
I've
weapons.
never known
In
that
one,
to
they're
be-
all static anyway. Since you had one, you had it. You
Uh-huh.
you go back and get more rolls of it. Or
Yeah,
anything.
that was a big problem early on, obviously. The thing is, in D1, raid weapons were often really unique, especially
Right,
earlier
they didn't-
D1. They were kind of like adept weapons. I mean, they literally were.
Sure.
in
There
early
were some
D1.
adept weapons, yeah.
Yeah, but that was back when there was like a major gameplay distinction between how they functioned.
Mhm. Which that's a big, like, I guess we'll find out. Like, we'll know that for sure if, like, this raid weapons are closer to interesting on that level or not. But if some of my other suspicions are correct, which is
Yeah,
that, like,
right.
we might be in a Destiny 2 world where we only get one raid a year,
Right.
then that's a thing they can definitely do more comfortably if that is the way that
Mhm.
things are going to be. Like, if there's only going to be one raid every 12 months,
Mhm.
like, really rip the knob off of that loot, because...
Yeah.
So like
You're
the,
gonna be in
the
there a
thing
while.
that
Right.
in the Taken King raid, the thing that every weapon did is it had an extra perk that was just auto reloading. They
Mhm.
all had this cocoon perk where if you
Oh, yeah.
stowed it for 5 seconds, they would get its ammo back, and it was just a fucking extra perk, and it was really cool. And the
it made
weapons
you
weren't
want all of the
amazing,
weapons. Yeah.
but they all did that, and it was all just a little extra thing that made you want to do the raid so you could get those weapons.
Mhm.
But then people complained all day long about not being able to get raid
Right.
weapons and feeling like they were being left out.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that is right. People want to, and
You can't
Bungie
win.
doesn't have to cater to
Right.
this, but people want to be able to get everything in the game playing solo because I don't have any friends and I don't want to make any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at a point, that's just like,
apps are bad.
like that just comes down to like, you
Your
have to
weenies
realize
go to
what
hell.
you. Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of thing where if you
this is
really
what you
want to
buy
like meet
into,
those
you
people
know?
halfway, you just put in a version of the menagerie every year for the last season of that year, and then just like shuffle all that
That's
shit
cool.
in there for when it's about to be
You'd
like
think they'd do
sunset
that,
or
but
whatever.
That makes a lot of sense.
And I want something like that so bad.
Yeah, no, it's because like it's just like it's an MMO game. It's a massively multiplayer online game, and it's like
You need to have friends.
Mhm.
Granted, Bungie could make it
Do literally
way
everything you need to be able to work with a group at some point.
Bungie could make it way
Right.
easier for you to find people to play with,
Yeah,
and
That's
it's
true.
a shame that they
That
don't
yeah,
even
that's
try.
that's definitely true.
I mean,
All you
even
do
with
is
that, it's
trade
like
chat. Bring
even with
back
that, there.
trade chat.
So even with all that, there's still people that just never want to talk to anyone and still
Well,
want to be able
right,
to do
That's
that.
true.
I'm
Fine,
in
that's
favor of
okay.
ignoring them.
Yeah, that's
I-
kind of where
I
I'm at.
petition
Like
ignoring that.
for a game that I always think Destiny should play to the strengths of the game that it is, and the game that it is not a game that's catered to solo play, like
Yeah.
as it exists
Yeah, right.
today. There are plenty of games that are, so if you can't get over that hump and you want to play Destiny, then maybe pick
Wah.
up something else.
Yeah, it's like
or pick up some fucking friends.
Right,
you
do one
child.
or the other. Just like play with some people sometimes, or make something else your main game.
Like I don't know who needs to hear this or be reminded of this, but a clan of 6 deaf people have completed every single raid.
And
That's
they're way better than we are.
I'm sure they are, like
are.
probably by a wide margin.
The percentage of the player base that wants to play solo, or doesn't want to make friends or play with other people, and also is entitled or really wants raid gear, raid ability
low.
is pretty low. That's
Yeah,
not
right.
a large section of the player base.
I think it's a very loud and vocal
I'm sure you get-
minority,
Mhm.
Sometimes they'll get loud, but
like with Republicans.
Whoa. Democrats can be loud too.
That's right.
Yeah, I know. It was a joke. Jesus Christ.
Well, I hated it. Bad joke.
I mean, if you want to know about Democratic loud minorities, Bernie Sanders is not the nominee for president, so
yeah, sure.
that's
Yeah,
worked out in
They never
practice.
will be.
Oh yeah, at this point.
Anyway,
But yeah, like I really want them to have some like thick neck having weapons, to come out of the new raid, and adept versions that have extra perks. And I want to have because I
Right. We'll see. There's like the tiniest hint of that with the way that they're changing the raid armor. Like the fact that the raid armor has its own slot that doesn't override the regular slot that is raid specific. Like that's optimistic.
Yeah, it's neat.
Man, can you imagine if this year they just released the raid and everything was as normal, and then they start hinting that the challenge modes come out and the fucking challenge modes have adept weapons?
Yeah, that'd be sick. Talk about setting expectations high.
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
Thanks,
It's not gonna
Wade.
happen.
Yeah.
Don't even consider it.
But it would be dope.
Yeah. I mean, there is a world where that does happen because, like, in D1 there was only a raid a year at best, right? Yeah.
No.
So.
Well, yeah, I say I don't actually.
Until
because there was a raid in base and a raid in the very first expansion, which was like 3 months later.
Yeah.
And then they didn't have another one until Taken King, but that was still at that point, 7 or 8 months later. So
I mean, how many raids per release? Like, how many years did D1 exist, and how many total raids did it have when it stopped being supported?
2 and 4, right?
3?
It had 4 raids. It was 3 years.
Yeah.
Is it 3? Okay.
So it had 1 and change, like 1.3 raids per year.
Yeah.
right.
Crota could rightly be called a raid lair if you really wanted it to.
It had 3 large raids, and Crota.
Aw.
And even Crota, like,
It was bigger than most, bigger than Eater or whatever, but
right, and it was mechanically very interesting.
it was
Yeah, it was
intense,
very
man.
mechanically dense.
Same.
Thank you. I'm glad that someone did do that.
But you're right. It was no Last Wish or
Right.
King's End or King's
Right.
Fall.
Yeah. And
Yeah, so like, if they go back to like that frequency, then they can definitely do more of what they did in
Real
D1.
cool shit.
Yeah, and again, like a good middle ground, which is the thing that they've alluded to on the calendar so far, is if we get one brand new raid per year and one unvaulted raid somewhere else in the
yeah,
year.
that'll go a long way to
I was gonna say something. I bet there will be 2 raids, but one of them will be,
It's new to me.
Because Vault of Glass is
Glass
coming,
and then
right?
Crota's.
Vault of Glass is coming sometime in the next 12 months.
I have no problem with them doing that, and that's what's even better is that they're not designing like new full from the ground up, so it's a lot less
Get what
work.
it is.
And
That way I can
people happy.
I can relive my fantasy of doing the Death Zamboni again.
Yeah. I can watch people fail to jump in King's Fall
For anyone who
and get
has not,
dickwalled by the original Dickwall.
I love the Dick Walls. For anyone who has not heard the glorious news, some crazy bastard soloed the Death Zamboni.
That's great.
I can't even begin to imagine it.
No, I can't either.
I'm
But
sure there were
it
weird
has
glitches
been
involved.
done.
Phil, do you think they'll put up like a plaque, like when you see like historical monuments, like from the state or whatever, that's like the first Dick Wall next?
I wish.
That's the kind of thing I would put up if I was an
I would
executive.
love that.
Yeah, that'd be great if they did that.
The only time they've ever done that was with the Death Cave.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Which, again, I guarantee they will do something with
Yeah,
it
there'll be
in
something there.
2 weeks from now when we see it. But
Uh-huh.
I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the new explorable areas.
Right.
I'm just excited. I'm really excited for
New content.
yeah.
Right, I'm
Yeah, it's
excited
been
to
such a
play
long
again.
time. This is since there's been new content in Destiny 2.
75 years.
Right. It's Dustin, I think you said this earlier this season, or like a week or 2 ago, but it's really good that this season was above average because
Yeah.
like, imagine if the not literally War Minds, but whatever the name of that
Arrivals.
season was,
Yeah.
Right, if they had done 2 of those in a
Yeah.
row, yeah, totally.
that had been this season for 7 months, I would not be playing Destiny.
No.
Agreed.
I even liked this season, and I have been half-assing it.
Yeah, right. But like Phil said, it's been good. It's been good. I would call this an above-average season. Like the only thing that has really dragged it down is that they had that like almost 2-month delay.
Yeah, they had a delay.
I've just
Otherwise,
been phoning it in all season, so
That's fine.
I can see that when I look at your character level.
Yeah.
Lorraine, are you at 600 yet?
no shade, man.
Where am I?
Yeah, we're all
572 is what I'm on right
That's
now.
pretty high.
Jesus fucking Christ!
You're gonna win this one.
By a lot.
This is okay. The stream can see this. We're gonna go look at my. I don't know why I did that. We're gonna look at my for the different seasons.
You're almost 100 levels above me.
So we go from I
Fucking
just
lot
bit
of Destiny.
well, 'cause I'm doing shit on all 3 characters every week is the thing.
Yeah,
It's definitely more than I've
been
doing.
So I was at,
Lorraine is doing like the strike playlist
Yep.
stuff on every
Right.
character.
I
every
want
week.
Bright
haven't done any of
Dust.
that shit. Yeah.
So I was
You're not wrong.
I was 200 in Season of Undying. So the first season we had this.
Doubled up.
I only got
expected,
I got like that was the maximum.
Uh-huh.
I got 300 in Season of Dawn, 335 in Worthy, and now 572 in Climbing in the longest season in
It takes too long to
existence.
get to 100.
Man,
Yeah,
so
right.
like, for reference, you are over 400 levels above me.
Brian got a late start to this season.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
true.
even
That
been
is
around as
true.
much.
Because you didn't even have.
The-
What was it? The season you didn't? No, you didn't have PSN.
Right, for a little
Yeah,
bit.
for
and
most
probably
of
not
the
the pass.
season.
'Cause you didn't. Did you buy it on PC?
No, I had the season pass.
The
so I
season
had the
pass does
season-
carry over. That's
It
the
does?
only
Okay,
thing that
I-
carries over. The expansions and stuff don't.
Well, the biggest
Okay.
thing was just that. The biggest thing was just that I didn't have PSN and I was
Yeah,
playing other
You couldn't
games,
play with your friends.
Mhm.
and so I just didn't play Destiny,
That's
Right.
fair.
and I wasn't really interested either. I definitely hit the point of burnout because the repetition of tasks had just
Mhm.
like hit that fucking breaking
Sure.
point for
Yeah.
me.
And again,
feel
that's I
it.
still
Yeah,
don't
I
think there's
feel
any
it.
shame in that at
No.
all. Like there's nothing wrong from stepping away from any game, Destiny or otherwise, if you're just not feeling it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and so so I took a nice long break, but I still not playing much. I'm not super interested in most things, but
Mhm.
I mean, right
Like-
now there's not that much to do.
No.
Like
Yeah.
most of us pretty much play, 3 or 4 nights a week we PvP together, and that's about all we do.
Mhm.
yeah.
And then maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks we'll try to do a raid.
Right.
I want to
Yeah.
raid so bad.
There'll be new raids soon, Lorraine.
Me too.
But
We're so close.
I still want to do
Like,
the raids we have
we're gonna do it
now.
on-
I know.
I
We're
like
gonna-
Scourge so much. I like Sad Hat a lot. I still want to do more Leviathan shit because I missed that whole first year.
Mhm.
Like you guys got a
I
lot
would
more of
do
it
some of
then.
that stuff this weekend if you guys want.
Yeah, we can try to
Yeah.
do that. I'd be down.
I might be able to make time this weekend.
Mhm. Brian, if you want to do
um,
some sad hats, if you want another couple swings at Teraba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do need more verbal
I'll-
swings.
I will go with you for any number of set hat
Yes,
runs.
same.
We have the people.
Yeah, but then there's
love that rate.
Same.
so the big thing that I have to do is I have to make myself find interest in doing those, even though rationally I'm like, oh, I need this thing, and then my lingering depression's just like, why
Sure.
do that?
Yeah.
What's the fucking
That's the
point?
mood.
Bad.
So it's just
I completely feel that, Brian. Even when I didn't have Teraba, I was like, who the fuck cares about Teraba?
Aw.
Yeah.
I like
Sure.
Teraba a lot.
Teraba's fun.
It is a lot of fun.
It's dumb.
Well, and the thing is, I'm fully aware of all the silly stuff I could do, but it's just
Mhm.
there's just I've accomplished so much in Destiny that I never thought I would. That it's looking back at it and going, well, there's this another thing I could do, and I'm just like,
Nothing left to prove to anyone.
yeah, I don't have anything to prove to anyone or myself at this point.
Brian
I
wept
increased-
for there were no more worlds to conquer.
He ate them all.
I've become an adequate sniper, and I've increased my KD
Uh-huh.
by 0.4 in the last 2 years.
Right?
So the biggest hills have been ascended.
Uh-huh.
So it's
Brian-
We're beating Fire Stars on Prestige.
Ew.
No, I
That
haven't.
makes-
No one here has.
it makes me more depressed just thinking about that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Even though, again, it probably wouldn't.
No, it
especially
probably wouldn't be that
like,
bad.
it wouldn't be any harder than the regular version. But to be fair, the regular version was not necessarily the most fun experience. But we got it.
Yeah.
We did it.
Well, we
done it
also got
twice.
that. We got
We've done
that when
that
we.
3 times now.
I've done it
We've done it twice this season, right? Or am I
once
just
this
making that up?
season. We did it the
I
one
thought it was
time.
just once
I
this
think it
season.
was just
Yeah.
once.
Yeah, we did.
Kyle,
We've
I-
been there a lot for other things.
Kyle, I just like
Right.
that you're that you're literally like Satan at the crossroads in Georgia with these procedural Leviathan raids. It's just like, hey, come on in.
I have an emblem you don't have.
And I suppose like part of me is just like so like because we did because of how much we tried the various Leviathan raids in year one and how bad we were compared to now. Like I'm just like fucking trauma.
The first couple times at Gauntlet, man, that was
rough. That was some solid progression. I'm proud of us for getting it down because that took a minute.
Now we can't even do Prestige still.
I mean, we could if we wanted to. We'd have to grind it out.
Yeah.
Right, there is that piece.
And also, we really shouldn't do it with Danny.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the issue we had.
I'm sitting over here. I
have more issues.
I was in fucking a progression rating guild in WoW, and I get really irritated when people can't keep up with simple mechanics, so that's my issue.
Yeah, I'm kind of that way too, and I didn't even do the progression rating.
It's really tough for a mechanic like Gauntlet because you wipe 30 seconds in if someone makes a mistake. And if you do that 4 times in a row, you don't want to keep going.
My frustration comes from the fact that it's not necessarily a new thing, that this is a done thing.
Yeah, why don't we have this down already? Kind of.
It's not a function of the numbers or the levels.
Right.
And we just don't put the time into it, honestly.
We're not out there doing our reps.
We got better things to do most of the time, I get it.
We would need to put together a good group and sit down and practice it, and accept that we might not get it in one night, which is fine.
I think if we're gonna do day 1 raids for
in the foreseeable future,
Stone Crypt or whatever it's called, we are.
Yes,
we need to set our raid group, and then once we have that raid group, we should go do those old things. Just
I think we should do a ribbon,
basically.
A full ribbon, like not the cheese.
I'd be down for that.
I would do all that stuff, just so that we can kind of get back into the groove of doing difficult things.
I was going to suggest that at some point,
but I 100% agree with you that we would need to pick a group and fucking stick with
you
it.
have to pick the group and not just like what 6 people are on at this time.
Yeah,
sounds good. I like it.
It is a good week for Prestige Leviathan.
Clan politics
Bad
aside,
the challenge, and Gauntlet is the 3rd encounter.
And again, apparently we can cheese Gauntlet.
I didn't watch that thing, so I don't know how easy that would be.
It doesn't look hard.
Kyle, the gist of it is if you take a trace rifle and go bottom to top, you will hit all of them at once and it will clear.
That's very funny.
Yeah, oh yeah, that was funny. Because it's just
everyone can do that.
Shoot fast.
That's what it would be without having looked at it. For whatever reason, the thought in my head is, well, what if you just put anarchy on like the top and the bottom?
I think
So
it
that
doesn't
was my
recognize
first
it as
thought.
an enemy.
When I saw the cheese, I was like, I wonder if this is anarchy.
Okay.
Because it only activates when an enemy's there, so if there's nothing there, I don't think it'll start doing damage.
Right. It won't tick. Basically.
Yeah, it doesn't. Wait.
Exactly.
Can you, if you shoot anarchy, does that turn it on?
Maybe, I don't know.
Let's find out.
Sounds convoluted.
Anyway,
I don't know.
I've seen other people doing various strats
No,
call it, and
it just blows it up.
Spray it with the auto rifle or something, and basically do it that way. So
yeah, you don't have to use a trace rifle. I think
it sounds like it's more effective.
Delirium.
600's work, but a trace rifle is the absolute bare minimum easiest that you can do it with. And frankly, since there's nothing in that encounter aside from some shitty mobs, like why not use a trace rifle?
Right. In general, the higher your rate of fire, the easier it is to do, and trace rifles have the highest rate of fire.
900 or 1200 or something.
Right. Brian, the one thing I still want to do with you is get you unbroken.
Yeah, why the hell not?
Imagine.
I'm into it.
You have 1 season already,
I have
right?
1 season, yeah.
Yeah, you've done it. You can do it. I want to play more comp in general. I just kind of like comp.
Sure,
I
I do
actually
that.
probably. So given how disenfranchised I've been with even quick play, like I think comp might be a healthier play.
It's still a more controlled environment.
Maybe.
Like it's a little less nuts.
I do like comp more than I like trials, but that's
well, more than trials. But like, if you're expecting it to be less sweaty or frustrating than quick play, I would not expect that
I just want it to be less chaotic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
right.
chaotic, but
You're less likely to get supered like 4 lives in a row and then
Yeah.
killed by heavy, and
more likely to be sniped out of a lane that you thought you were going to look at.
Mhm.
never go in lanes, Kyle.
Ever.
No, I'm aware of how to play comp, and like it's just so because like I just
Demon
haven't done
Girl
it.
91 is near.
Thank
we
God.
should.
It's true. It's very
We should
true.
do that. But I think in the future we'll plan all kinds of Destiny stuff to do
Because there's all
together.
kinds of Destiny stuff ahead.
Yeah, but I think for the moment
Yeah.
we'll wrap this recording up.
That
Oh,
sounds good.
I have one last thing I want to say.
No.
Go
I
for
just
it.
I hope they quit making all these random fucking seasonal like fucking events that do nothing but kill time. I hope they just
That's the Bungie
Like,
way.
what do you
for the
want
foreseeable
exactly?
future.
just fucking make, I don't know, thicker content.
They're making as thick a content as they can,
Yeah.
and they
I
rely on
get
stuff
Brian's
like the
frustration a
Halloween.
little.
Yeah,
events
no,
to
I completely
have it
understand
out.
where
This-
Brian's coming from, but
this
I don't think that's
Halloween
going to
event.
change soon, if ever.
Well, I think
I
next
don't know.
year it'll be a different activity that is
it'll
similar.
definitely-
Like I don't think it'll be the
It'll-
same
by
thing.
No,
definition,
it's
it'll
always
have to
different.
be, 'cause there's
Uh-huh.
not going to be any forest in the game anymore.
So I mean,
Probably.
more specifically, not just the the spooky forest, but like the season of arrivals nonsense, the season of
Oh, sure.
all that shit. Because like they at least need to go, if they're doing that, they either need to make the weapons accessible at make gear that came out of that accessible after the fact. It's like the FOMO shit is dog shit, and it's
Yeah.
part of what really pushed me away.
They've been trying to bring stuff.
Yeah, they're right. They brought stuff back
Like,
this
those-
season, and they
those
said
those
that.
Dark and Grants, you can get weapons from the last handful of seasons out of them.
Yeah,
I know,
and
but
they.
that's not even the full point. The point is it's like do this short-term event, and you can get some of the stuff that we put out this season or not.
They did say
know.
that in this coming year, stuff is going to stick around for the year. So that'll probably go a long way.
That's definitely a lot better.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
definitely. This was more their trial run of this kind of like seasonal
Yeah, right.
rollout
it's
anyway.
the
like
content deployment method.
yeah,
was-
they
think
with the split with
Yeah, they definitely
Activision,
realized
all that
that-
stuff.
Putting resource time into content or events that were only going to stick around for 3 months and then go away forever was not a good use of their time.
No,
No,
and
it's-
I think they
it helps
realized
that
that.
people almost universally have panned the
Right,
last four
because
seasons
they were
or
very
whatever.
shallow for the most part.
And it speaks volumes that like one of the most popular seasonal events ever was Menagerie, which was before they started doing that bullshit.
Mhm.
Also, they've said we wanted to do this because we didn't want the game to be too top heavy with too much
Yeah,
shit
right.
to do.
Mhm.
I
Now
get
they're,
it.
Again.
now they're sunsetting a bunch of the games, so they
Yeah.
don't need to do that anymore.
Uh-huh.
Right.
It was
That's
they're
probably
trying
the
something
better
out,
long-term option.
didn't quite work, and they're pivoting.
Yeah, but
Anyway,
yeah. In any case, I'm looking forward to the next season and the next expansion. These
I'm
patch
so
notes
stoked.
specifically, I'm looking forward to it a little more than I was before reading them. So that's a
Yeah, me too.
positive sign
Yeah.
for me.
That's definitely my final takeaway is that these patch notes actually, I haven't pre-ordered Beyond Light yet, but with these patch notes, I think I will be.
I'm cautiously pessimistic about it. That's how I feel.
As with most
Like,
things,
I
it
dig
should
it.
be.
Optimistic.
neutralistic.
I'm definitely gonna.
Nihilistic.
So this put me into. I'm definitely gonna pre-order Beyond Light, but I still don't know if I'm gonna buy the season pass.
Right
That's fair.
on. I mean, and again,
Yeah, I think
buy it when you want to. Like,
Yeah.
don't buy it up front, and if it seems like you want it a couple weeks in, then buy it. Straight
Right.
up. Very good.
Unlike last year, it doesn't actually come with the season. That
Mm.
current season this year.
Yeah, if you buy
Yeah.
the giant one, the one with all of them, then you get all of them. But yeah,
Right,
the
just-
base
if
one
you buy
doesn't come with the one.
Deluxe, whatever it comes with either. But
Right.
if you just individually buy Beyond Light, you don't get the current season.
Uh-huh.
If you don't want to pay the $70
Yeah,
or
exactly.
whatever.
But yeah, anyway, I think
Woo-woo.
that'll do it for the evening. Thank you, Lorraine, for hanging out and
Yeah.
chipping in a little and playing a bunch of Destiny.
You know me.
Thank you, Kyle, Brian,
Another
Phil,
one.
Wade, for weighing in and hanging out. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Destiny anytime.
Guys, I finished Shattered Throne. I did it. I don't have to go back.
Hell yeah,
Yay!
good job. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Good job.
I got them all.
Miracles do happen.
Exactly.
Because you believed in yourself.
Miracle
Brain at it.
childbirth.
Well, it's about to get a lot harder, so I'm glad
Right.
you finished it.
Yeah, get it out before it does.
I got really close again to maybe doing Solo Prophecy. Not flawless, just finishing it.
Yeah.
Which
You
is
got a couple weeks left.
Yeah, that's at least the goal. Is just
We'll
to
update if
finish
you
it.
pull that off. It's definitely within the
Safety
realm of
analogy.
possibility.
It's all right there. You get a speeder. I know you can do this.
No, I can't.
Just keep trying. You'll get it.
No.
Hell yeah.
No.
But yeah, in a couple weeks we'll have new content. So
Oh.
until then, we'll sign off for
hey,
Destiny
look,
stuff for the
573.
moment. But we will see you later, Internet.
Bye.
Yeah, whatever.
Uh,
Hi, Colette.
bang. I know.
She's running around like crazy. Anyway.
If you guys wanted the PvP tonight, I would. If not, that's fine.
I was feeling it. I
Sure.
If you turn on my PlayStation, I'll go down.
Oh, boy.
Okay,
I
yeah, I'll
don't
play a
know very
couple
far to
games.
turn on.
Why the hell not?
Yeah, we gotta switch over.
All right, yeah.
Or
Let
you
me
can
let's
keep
get out of
streaming
here, and then
But
we'll
anyway,
join you.
we're still
Oh, yeah,
streaming.
I know you guys
Brutality
gotta.
out there for all to see.
We'll join you on the internet.
Yeah, I'm
in
gonna
little
take
bit.
a. Yeah, I'll be on PS4 in about 5-10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Goodbye, everybody.
Wow. And to our viewers
And-
at home.
Right.
Wow, wow, wow.
Finally. Thank
So
you
many
for hanging
layers.
out.
3 goodbyes to you.
That's right. So many goodbyes.
You stuck it out.
You watched
Neato.
the rain, just grinding it out, literally grinding it out.
Literally.
just kind of just putzing, doing Destiny.
Hey man,
things.
I got all kinds of bright dust now. Like, look at
Look
this
at- that's
number.
true.
I'm recovering
Uh-huh.
from all my purchases. I've made too many purchases.
But anyway, yeah, I think that's gonna do it for us on Twitch for the evening too. So
Whoa!
thank you for hanging out and
Bang, bang, bang.
bearing with us as we yammered and know,
Yeehaw.
did basic ass content. And
Oh, it was basic, alright.
until next time, I think we'll see y'all later in
Bye.
Internet Land as I reach over and
He's
grab
doing
this
it. He's
mouse
doing
to
a thing. Oh, you can't even see my wave. There we
There
go.
you go.
Oh,
Bye bye, Internet.
bye.